Welcome, everybody, to episode 6 of the OG. We are closing out week 3 of season 22?
One game to
23. Season 23. Right?
Yeah,
I
23.
just screwed that up. I just asked you that, and I just still screwed it
I
up.
know.
Anyways, this is Jerm at Scom. What's going on, buddy?
Chilling around, getting ready to play PAX week 3.
Yeah.
Getting to go what you went through just now? Or
yeah,
a day ago, I guess?
It was an overtime thriller. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
German overtime thrillers are like...
I don't know what happened. I'm
just together.
I'm hooked on them this week.
at least one of them worked out, so that's good. If you'd had 2 crushing overtime losses back to back, I think you would have that would have been it. No more OGs, no more league.
They were both they both nearly went the same exact way. But anyways, we've got a special guest here tonight.
Yes.
Special guest. He is undefeated. He is older than me, so the streak of me being the youngest on the show every time has continued. Welcome, Dallas Cowboys Flap. What's up, buddy?
Hello.
That's all you got?
Well, we've been talking for like 30 minutes.
I know. I've been trying to set this shit up. I can't get everything right.
We basically just wasted all of Flappy's best material in the last 30 minutes.
I thought we were live this whole time.
It would have been our highest rated show for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you're undefeated this year, Flap. What has changed?
Added some weapons. Van Jefferson has actually been solid for me for some reason. And had some more weapons, running a different offense. So I'm actually getting my run game going. I did have a sim win against Synax, but that's usually...
You would have beat him anyway, right?
Yeah, I usually sweep him, so...
Is there a windstorm at your house?
Yeah, you got a fan on behind you.
Hold on.
Tornado going through the Carolinas right now.
I think you guys could hear that.
That's all right. It didn't start until like right before.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess you're just gonna have to burn up.
But yeah, I'm actually leading the league in rushing yards and playing some pretty good defense. That press bail stuff.
That press bell, it works pretty good, don't it, buddy?
Apparently, I mean, look, I've got 2 90+ speed, 90+ man coverage corners, and they were getting burned constantly. Throw a little press bail in there, and they make a few more plays. It hasn't been game breaking for me. I mean, really, what's game breaking is Parsons' X factor, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, Parsons is a guy. What is his X factor?
It's relentless.
That's
Wait, no, is it? All 3 of his abilities are pass rusher abilities. He's got extra credit, Mr. Big Stop, and I think it's relentless, actually.
So go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say that clearly those are abilities that everybody should be re-rolling to get, because Parsons is always like the best player in Madden. So let's just get rid of our edge threats and everything, and let's go for Mr. Big Stop and extra credit.
All he needs is 1 sack, and he gets in the zone, and then his rush move attempts are free.
Yep.
So he can basically just turn into a monster immediately, and Aaron Donald, which everybody hates, will wipe the resistance blocker bars.
Yeah.
So if he gets a sack, and then Parsons can go ham.
Nice. And do you use your Parsons a lot, or do you just let him do his thing?
Yes, because I like to move him around.
Yeah, I know.
You don't know if he's going to be coming off the edge, or if he's going to be playing linebacker or dropping. So
he's the most versatile player. Not only, I mean, it's both. It's realistic there, because I mean he's the same way in real life, but he's like the most versatile player we've ever had in AGS. Like on defense, It's crazy. He can play everywhere. You can put him at safety and he'd be fine.
I've noticed with the slower tackles, sometimes I can run around them, like without even engaging into the speed rush. I could just run around, and especially if their quarterback is really lofting or like drifting backwards, I could just run into him.
I think that was Pink's comment. I think on the top 100 thing was he could just run around the tackle, like it don't even matter.
Yeah.
It's 94 speed. It's a reason.
So hypothetically, let's say his penalty to trade him was 0. Will you ever consider trading him? Like actually consider trading him?
Yes, and I actually had a deal with the Bengals last season before we realized that I didn't have any more trades.
Oh wow! What was the trade?
At the deadline, it was Bates and one of his, I think it was a defensive back. But he was gonna give me like 297 overall players. I could not take that.
Hmm.
And I was like, immediately I was like, sounds good. Yeah, I like that deal. I was like smashing a
Yeah.
trade.
Wow.
But yeah, unfortunately. And then in the off season, I was gonna see what was offered. I think the Texans got pretty close, but I mean, his value to me is like absolute top shelf.
Wow. And I should have traded you Cisco and something for Parsons. That would have been sweet.
No.
You don't need him.
No.
He would have never
I
traded you, Parsons. Would
Well,
you,
he might
Flap?
have.
He'd Flap would.
No.
Flap
I have
would've
a no trade list. Dome is currently on it.
He has his own no trade clause.
Yeah. MHC is still on it, but
He's permanently on it.
Flap just wandering around the room here as he's still talking to it.
I have to turn my fan off.
Look at that Bluetooth headset you got.
He's got to turn on the AC.
conditioning.
Life in Texas.
Actually, I'm in North Carolina, but it is warming up.
All right. Well, today we're going to talk. So the last show went like 3 hours. This one's not going to go 3 hours. I hope. Please God. We were going to talk about the trades from the off season. We never really got into that, so we'll talk about some of the trades. And we're also going to do some questions from the league since we didn't get to do that. And Flap, you had a couple questions from last time we didn't get to cover. So let me pull up one of those questions.
And then you can answer it yourself.
No, because one of them. Do you remember what your first question was last time?
Yes.
Go ahead and ask it then.
Do y'all's wives know about this bromance that y'all have? Because if you guys were like, we're leaving our wives and we're moving in together, like nobody would be shocked.
Nobody would be shocked. My wife does not know about the bromance. She did give me shit though. It may have been before the last show because I told her I was going to do the podcast, and she was like, "What do y'all even talk about?" I was like, "We talk about our Madden League," and then she was like, "But do you even know who these people are?" I was like, "Yeah, I know who they are. I've been talking to them for like 3 or 4 years. I know a lot about them. I really don't." And then she was like, well, "What's their names?" I was like, "I don't really know their names. I know their screen names." And she just thought that was the worst thing in the world that I didn't know these people's names. I was like, "I know like 5 or 6 of their actual names."
Yeah. And most of them start with J.
Most of them start with J. Seems to be a theme. Most of them start with J. But yeah, she was giving me a hard time about them.
Yeah.
Well, even my lifelong friends, that I've been playing games with since the beginning. If I was back home in Texas and we were playing, I'd still call some of my friends by their gamer tag. Like, we still call our friend Sean Juna, our other friend Justin Romulus. Like, it's just, I guess you get used to it. So I guess if I was hanging out with you guys right now, I'd still probably call you Germ.
Well, everybody calls me Jerem anyways. My actual friends.
It's pretty close to Jeremy, anyways.
Yeah, Germ's been my
stand when people say
since...
Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy does drive me crazy.
No, Jeremy.
Actually, what my mother-in-law, she'll be in between saying Jeremy and Germ, and she'll be like, just Jeremy, and I'm like, nope, not going to answer that one.
Nope,
don't like it. But anyways, yes, me and Gom do have a little bit of bromance. It's a love-hate. We drive each other crazy.
It's true. And to your question, my wife is probably very similar in the same situation as Germ. She's aware, especially since we started doing the podcasts, that we have these 2+ hour podcasts that 11 o'clock is my cutoff.
That like 25 people watch.
If I'm not done by 11 o'clock, then I'm going to pay for it later. Fortunately, I'm on Pacific time, so which works out because right now it would be almost midnight for Germ. But same thing. She's like, "Do you know these guys? Like, are they good people? You don't even know if they're good people. Are they good people? Just tell me they're good people." Like, what's going on? So, and yeah, it's just like same thing. What do they talk? What do you guys talk about? Madden League. How can you talk about the Madden League for 2 hours? And I'm like, you'd be surprised.
I think I would say like, oh yeah, it's a bunch of really good guys. And some Eagles fans. We have a couple of those.
Yeah, a few crappy Eagle fans.
Yeah. So,
I mean, we've got like 28, 29 good people. I mean, we deal with McGee, and I mean,
and the other 2, right?
Yeah. The other two. Tom still hangs out for whatever reason.
He's got to educate us on stuff.
That's true. Well, where would we be without his just knowledge? Just always.
I would have
bringing
never
knowledge
thought
into
about
I
what my
guess we'll
dog
never
voted
know.
for
I
without
guess
Tom.
we'll never know.
All right, we're going to jump through some of these questions here. And I haven't really read them either. Oh, you had another one. Flap. What are y'all looking forward to when we break for the next Madden? And yeah, and I don't know. We haven't even looked. How do we know how far the calendar goes out? It should be ending in July again, right?
Yeah, and
Like
they
early
said the new
July?
Madden. Hopefully, the new Madden's actually gonna be on time this year because it's supposed to be released like the end of August.
Hopefully, it's on time and ready.
Yeah,
Ready is the important
especially
one.
with some of the things they're announcing. But to me, I mean, this is kind of answering the question, but to me, the thing I'm looking about in Madden is when we get to a Madden Live, where it's not a new Madden every year, and all they do is just do their glorified roster updates and or little updates of gameplay rather than issuing a brand new game every year. Because I would just really like to do a franchise beyond 5 months, even if we just end up pausing in July and continuing on for another 5 seasons. Like, it would just be so cool to actually run a franchise beyond 5 years, to actually experience the true impact of what it would have to be to plan ahead more than 5 years.
And some of these team builders we have in the league, I mean, what they could do with an extra 5 seasons, that sounds scary. But it could also, it's the other way too. I bet if you're not very good at building a team, you could probably just blow your load in the second season and then never recover.
Yeah, but the thing is, the people that are good team builders, and I like to think of myself as a good team builder. I think all three of us are good team builders. We are also building a team that we know is going to end in 5 seasons. Like, we know the end is coming up. That's why that Parsons contract don't really bother you, because it's only for 2 seasons anyways. Right. I was traded for Keenan Allen. He's like 32 years old, making $25+ million a year. I got him for 2 more seasons. Like, it's not going to hurt you if we keep going. If you keep going, that's when those older guys, like, those contracts start to really hurt.
It feels like I can't remember what team. I think it was the Chiefs or something, but I traded for like 2 Uber running backs because it was the last season. It feels like it's the last season already. The way the trades went down.
Yeah.
Because the last time we hit the last season, it was just as active in the trade block.
Mm-hmm.
Big names just being thrown across the way.
Well, we did do like 6 last year, I think, didn't we?
We did.
Like, the 6th season was interesting, but I'm pretty sure we still did it.
I think we only did 5 last year.
I think we did 6 because last year wasn't delayed. This was the year that it was crazy delayed, right? Like, we didn't get started.
Yeah, we did 6. You're right.
Yeah. It was.
We did 6, then we did 7, which 5, and then the reboot 2. Then last year we did 6. This year we're only going to get 5.
Yeah, like, because if we started in August, September, we would get 6 in, but because we didn't start this year until what, like November, December, or something like that.
We were a month behind, whatever it was. At least
I thought we were more than a month. I thought we were like way the hell behind because we had to wait for the secondary patch so that we could get the scouting patch. So I thought it was like
the scouting that was not worth it. I wish we would have just started.
Oh, I know. But we would have all been wondering, like, would the scouting have been cool? And I don't mind the scouting. I like the randomness of it.
I would rather have another season.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
that's hindsight though. We all thought it'd be neat, and it wasn't.
Yeah, there's some good points to it, but hopefully that'll be something next Madden improvement.
If they can just combine the two a little bit.
Yep.
Last scouting and this scouting. If they combine them, it'd be better.
Yep.
But I don't know. I love playing the game, but it is scheduling games really really gets to you at some point.
Well, you're still going to be playing Madden in the other league, like, for another month after we finish, because I think the other league's going another season beyond us.
I would be shocked.
I think they are.
No, they're not. They were wanting to close up before us. They're definitely not going to keep going.
We'll see.
Yeah.
If they do, they'll be doing it with a new Washington football team. All right, Smithy had a good question. Best of the last. What do the bottom feeders got to do to improve? So I've done zero thought on this, zero whatsoever. So Smithy, when we'll talk about Smithy's game this week at some point. So like, okay, so we've got a few Ofer teams.
Steelers are 0-3.
The Bills, the Titans, the Steelers, and the Cardinals. Not going to include Sinex because he's on vacay right now. So, any thoughts on what any of those teams could do to improve?
Let's do them one at a time.
We'll go do each of them. Okay. What about so MG's Cardinals?
Well, to me, like I think what MG needs, like I don't think MG does any transactions. Like he never does any trades.
He never has been a big trade guy.
No, and unfortunately, like you have to be able to do some team management to be able to get anywhere. Like some guys can just like if you're really good, you can just play with a stock team and then just do nothing and just take your draft picks and not worry about it. But I don't think you can do that in the league just the way that it works. You have to do something to make a team fit your play style, because a team is just never going to be perfectly fitting your play style when you get them as stock. And so I think
Soup's
that's what
about
MG
the only guy I think that can just take a stock team and a Feta, but like he'll actually make moves.
Yeah.
Soup doesn't make a lot of moves.
I have to make a team my own, whether it's
Yeah,
good trades or bad trades. I still have to have my own guys.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I think MG, that's probably the thing holding back. Because if MG's got a team that is really fits his style, he's going to be a playoff team. He's good.
Yeah, I think MG's just going through the motions. Like looking at his schedule,
Yeah.
He lost by 19 to Intel. He lost by 14 to Trigga. And he lost by 31 to Jake.
Well, I think
he's just
well, if MG to really improve, he's going to have to give up PS5.
Yeah, I think that's what I was alluding to eventually. I think it's just he doesn't really care for this generation, and he's only here probably to be in the first group of next gen PC.
Yeah. Presuming that Madden 23, and that'll like the question, what are you looking forward to Madden 23? We're probably going to have next gen. I don't know how many of us are looking forward to that, who have actually played next gen and know the mechanics, but
yeah, we'll see.
I'd like to see him trade Kyler Murray. I don't know, going from Dak Prescott to Huff, it's been a kind of a help. It's a different throwing motion, it's slower. I don't know, it just seems to help. It's kind of getting stale with Prescott, and Kyler Murray's 1 for 11 touchdown interception ratio, so he's not getting it done through the air.
How good would Kyler Murray look in Dallas uniform right now?
I don't know. You gotta see how much he wants Aaron Donald.
There you go. All right, who's next?
Let's look at the Steelers. Orakra. He's 0-3. His
he played.
Check out here. So he got stomped by the Raiders. He almost beat Tyrant. He's always played Tyrant close.
Mm-hmm.
And then he lost by 19 this week to B-Bank's Chiefs. So he's had 2 pretty big losses, and he almost beat Tyrant.
Yeah, because Orakra is like
struggled this whole Madden in this league.
Yeah, because Orakra used to be a nightmare for me to play. Like I think I lost my first 3 or 4 games against him.
Yeah, he eliminated me from the playoffs 1 year, or 1 season last Madden.
Yeah. Well, you just couldn't run against him either, because he would always have like that really good middle linebacker. He was one of the best at gap shooting, and just be able to anytime you did certain runs, he'd just destroy you. And he's got the 90 speed guy, but it doesn't seem to work quite the same way this Madden. And I don't know if I know he's made a few moves, but I think maybe he's realized he's going to have to make some moves to actually have a little more success, and he's just still trying to figure it out.
Well, he's played 3 games, and Najee Harris has 27 carries.
Eesh.
And he's got 79 pass attempts. So if you're 0-3 and you've thrown the ball that much and you've ran the ball that little, I would imagine that trying to establish the run might go a long way.
Yeah, either that or he's just getting behind way too fast, and he's
maybe
to catch up.
He's
also got Streeter, so maybe he's just trying to sling it
down
around
the stretch. I mean, he's got the Bills, the Eagles, the Bengals, Synax, Joe Daddy. He's got all of them in the near future.
And another thing, he has Deontay Johnson has route tech, and he has 6 catches in 3 games. if you have a guy with route tech, he needs to get 6 catches per game.
I recently got that in the other league, and it's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
Those cuts are insane.
I've actually never had somebody with route tech.
Me neither.
I've had Keenan Allen last Madden and now this Madden with Slotomatic, which is basically the same thing. It just only activates in the slot, and it's unbelievable. Like route tech and watching Godwin for Gorilla, and that's what Adams has. He's got route tech for MHC. Yeah, Deontay Johnson, he should catch 7-8 passes every game.
Yeah, and no, I mean, I think that's probably the biggest thing holding him back is just that his roster. Because I mean, he's got TJ Watt, but we all know how inconsistent pass rush is, and aside from Harris, he doesn't have anybody else.
Trade TJ Watt for an interior
really there
lineman instead of
or for Amari Cooper.
Definitely.
Oh,
yeah, I don't know what he's gonna do. But
Yeah.
I think he'll start. He'll go on a streak.
I mean, he's a good player. He should. I don't know. He's never really got it going with the Steelers in this CFM. And I think he does pretty decent in the other league.
Yeah, well, he's a good player. Like, yeah, I just think that team just doesn't fit his style. But
well, they should now. He's got his rookie quarterback or young quarterback. He's got Najee Harris. Johnson's got route tech. He added the fast receiver from Brock, whatever his name is, Streeter. I mean,
yeah, well, and you never know. Like 03 at the beginning, like when you get a lot of new toys, there's a lot of struggles, and we'll probably talk about that when we talk about the trades. But I mean, I think you look at a lot of the teams that got new players, and they are actually starting out slow out of the gate as they're getting used to it. So
I would also say Baraka's O-line is kind of behind where you might be at this
might be
stage
why
in
he's
the
not
cycle.
running the ball.
His best lineman is 84 overall.
Well, that's better than my line. I've never had somebody 84 overall. I think I finally had my first 80 overall.
All right, who's next up on the
Skittles
list?
Titans.
Well, apparently he wants to trade Derrick Henry because he's based on what he posted recently. So
I missed that. So did he post something in the chat? I saw people saying they didn't want him to leave, but I didn't see the message.
No, on the
He must
trade
have
block
said it
I
on
did.
stream.
Okay.
Is that you were talking about, Jerm? I think he said it on stream because that's what SignX replied.
3 or 4 people commented in the chat, and so I assumed it was in a stream that he was thinking about leaving.
I mean, the last time I played a Fedo, I think it was about halftime when I was like, man, I should just retire. And
Hey, that was me in the playoffs against the.
I definitely understand that feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you need to start thinking about outside, like doing anything else.
Well, and Skittle's another guy who doesn't do a lot of moves. Like he's still pretty much got that stock Titans roster almost.
Yeah. He don't make. But he does. He always drafts well.
Drafts
So he
well.
builds through the draft. But yeah,
and he's always done well with AJ Brown. Like every game I watch, Brown will always torch somebody for a long touchdown, and he runs decently with Henry. But I don't think Henry is the force that he was hoping he'd be, like he was last Madden.
I still see the same Skittles that had the Eagles team back.
Well, I mean, he was in the AFC Championship game the first season of this Madden. He beat a Fedo in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think
and ever since then,
interested than.
Well, and yeah, if we're talking about like what does some of these guys have to do to improve for Skittle, honestly, it's just to get back into it. Like when he was actually posting his stream, when he was streaming, being on Facecam, he was winning. Like it's just the fact that he was always coming close to the playoffs, and
where he's somebody that doesn't make moves. So he was really good the first season. Made it to the AFC Championship game, beat a Fedo. Since then, everybody's been making moves. Like everybody's been improving. He's still riding out that same team. So everybody else has improved. He's
well, and that's the worst part about like trying to move Derrick Henry is like as we saw in the draft, halfbacks are no longer a priority at all because most teams have their halfback now. So it's going to be almost impossible to trade a halfback for something. Like if there's anyone you can get something for still, it's going to be like a guy like Derrick Henry. Because
I just looked at this. So I play him next. We're actually playing tomorrow after advance, I believe. No. So he lost 48-0 to a Fedo. Then he plays me, and then after me, he has MHC.
Well, I guess what's the Germ Vegas odds on him surviving past Germ, and
Look,
how
he
much surviving
always
past MHC?
in the other league, because he's in my division in the other league, and so I play him all the time. I played him tonight, actually, just a little bit ago. Every single time I've played him in that league, he has gone up 2 scores at the beginning of the game, and then I've come back and won, like, in the second half. Every single time he's been up at least 10, 14, 17 and nothing, every time.
Well, the Germ Vegas odds of a 21.5 or whatever you have kind of gives you an indication of where we think that one.
Well, that's just because if I put anything less, then everybody would pick the other way.
That's true.
And my defense is pretty good.
Yeah, poor Skittle.
Maybe. I have also given up 40 points a game this season. Anyways, let me find another question here. Oh, no, we got one more. I think the guy who asked the question.
Like Smithy was the last one. Smithy and the Jets are probably up there.
Smitty, and the Buffalo Bills. He shouldn't be 0-3, but he is.
All
right, so since we're on him, we might as well talk about it.
So I know how he can win at least one more game by hitting a pause hitting the pause button.
Yeah, by pausing the game. Anytime something controversial happens, pause the game. Just pause the game. I know, Flap, you said you only get one each.
What if you need that timeout later to challenge something?
It's not a timeout. It's a pause. You can still time out.
Just right here.
Anyways, there was I think there was less than 2 minutes left in the game, so you can't challenge anyways.
Honestly, I think I could give him 3 more wins a season by the simple advice. Smithy, I hope you watch this. If you ever get Leek to trade Pitts again, the answer is whatever you want. Here you go. Deal.
Yeah.
Don't draw it out for 2 days and then screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Smithy.
Yeah, and I'll give you this for Smithy especially, because Smithy is probably one of the guys that loves cover 2 a lot more than a lot of people do. Oh, he couldn't get through the stream without this, right?
There you go.
Yeah, every time
our viewership just went up.
Yeah, that's right. This is what everyone's signed on for right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, Smithy, like if you can run cover 2, but if you're ever going to do it, use her as safety or the middle linebacker and just run down the middle of the field because that's where the ball is going.
Yep. Or put your middle linebacker middle third and then not worry about it. So I will middle linebacker to middle third. Then you don't have to worry about the seam anymore most of the time. Sometimes.
And I'll tell you this: like most, like the really good coaches, if you call cover 2, they know it's cover 2. Like they will know the moment, like because
Kittle loves cover 2.
Yeah, he does.
Kittle loves it.
If there are any kind of trips, I mean, you got to believe that there's got to be somebody attacking the seams out of that formation.
Yeah, usually if I
Cover
see
4
trips, I board cover 2.
Yep. Yeah, you just can't do it.
I don't like cover 2 against trips. It doesn't bode well.
Yeah, like as a safety user, I can call cover 2 and feel somewhat safe because I know I can like get to where the holes are going to be. But if you trust the if you trust the CPU to do it themselves, they won't. So I think that's 2 wins a season if you just learn to, if you're going to call cover 2, to protect the slot.
Yeah. Well, really, Smithy should have won the last game, and then he only lost by 8 to Greatness, and Greatness has been off to a hot start. So I mean, he's not playing bad right now.
No, well,
he's got Soup and Affetto and Koopa coming up though.
Yep,
not great.
I had doubled up on Smithy on Germ Vegas this last week. I had Smithy to cover, and I had Smithy to be the underdog winner, and I should be like up a whole whack load of money, but
if he just hit the decline button or pause the game.
So thanks to you, Smithy, I'm down like $150 or more or whatever that would have been. So
I didn't even look at the lines. I just looked at the teams. I was like, yep, click. That's my Germ Vegas experience.
That's why you're out of money right now. I know, that's why you're out of money.
Yeah.
That's why you went bankrupt.
And Flap is on the OG right now thinking that he actually gets Germ Vegas money for being on the show.
I'll just give it away.
I'll give you 50 Germ Vegas bucks.
I don't want to use any of my luck outside of the end game, which I had to use some of it today because I don't know if you watched that game. I should have lost that one.
I didn't see it. I usually don't see much on the weekends.
Yeah. Well, your you're favored for week 3 again. So
I hate playing on the weekends.
Yeah,
I wish this league was an opposite of a weekend league where we played all of our games.
This league is pretty silent on weekends. I'm pretty active in chat, and I've noticed as soon as Friday hits, it gets a little quiet over the weekend.
Saturday especially. Saturdays are probably
Saturday is
dead
dead.
day.
And then because like I sent out the thing late, and there was still a bunch of games that hadn't been played. Most of the games were played. Most of the games were played on Sundays. And then MHC, MHC or his brother always Mondays.
Yeah, every time it's one of those two. I was actually surprised we got like everything in almost by early today. I think almost all the other games were in, right?
Yeah. One.
So
all but one.
We'll follow that one up and go right into our next question here. Joe Daddy, his question. He has 5 different questions. 1, what's my punishment? 2, please let me know. 3, thank you. 4, love. 5, Joe Daddy.
Well, 4 of those aren't really questions, but
I know. Funny the way he put it on there. Anyways, we don't know about your punishment yet, buddy. That'll be up to the Reds come come Monday night.
We're just 2 humble yellows that just either.
Not even sure there will be a punishment. To be honest, I don't know.
Yeah,
I would like to at least minimum see some Brock Bro street vigilante justice.
Okay, that is a great
point.
segue. V-Bank has a question here. Should we remove Jorge as a Brock Bro?
I mean, that's not up to us, but
yeah,
I think the Brock Bros should definitely have an internal meeting on that one.
There definitely needs to be a players-only meeting on this.
And then disclose all the details.
Yeah, for sure. We need to have it streamed.
Yeah, have a live stream of him getting kicked out of the...
And we were also told to shit on Jorge's terrible decision against Smithy at the end of the game. Again, that's where if you obviously know something bad has happened and you have benefited from this terribleness, because the game was over. There was no timeouts left. The game was over. You intercept the ball. There's a penalty. It's it. The game's over. We as a league, I feel like we should be at the point where all 32 of us would be like, all right, yeah, that was BS. I'm going to punt it back and kneel it. Or just kneel it yourself. Game was over. So yeah, that's a party foul on Jorge.
I mean, I think it's easy to say like, okay, well, everybody else would have accepted that, but yeah, if it is
I mean, that was obvious.
Yeah, this is that obvious. You probably gotta let that one.
Well, especially now, like, I mean, imagine if that happened in a playoff game.
Oh,
Can you imagine the horror that we would have to deal with? Because
at some point it will happen. At some point, something like that's going to happen. I mean, 22 seasons.
MHC.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is theoretically,
ender.
if you've made the playoffs, you're probably going to have the wherewithal to pause the game because you know at that point that you've made the playoffs, and this is kind of important. So good. I can't even imagine having to deal with that. Something like that, like where the actual game got finished anyway.
Yeah, we just we got to do better about pausing. I mean, I know Smithy was typing in chat. Afeto was talking in chat because I saw this as I was driving down the road. Like I saw it a few minutes later, so I missed it all like live. If you can type in chat, you can pause the game and talk to your opponent. Anyways,
so if EA gave everyone 3 pauses, do you think we'd have these issues?
Yeah. But I mean, how often does anybody pause the game ever? And it, like, I'll play 17 games in a season, and I bet I'll pause it twice.
Well, and the other thing is, at that point in the game, if it's under 2 minutes, you don't need you can't pause to do anything valid.
Unless you got to poop in the last 2 minutes, there's no reason for you to pause.
Yeah.
If you're not challenging.
Yeah. Oh man.
Anyways, okay, so a positive question. Trigga. Improving from his 0-17 season. So Trigga's 2-1 right now. So what do we think is different here about Trigga? Anybody got any comments there on the Patriots?
I think he's just gotten.
Oh, so Pax is in 3rd place in the AFC East, first time ever. How about that?
Wow. Let's see if you guys can keep him there.
Yeah.
But no, I think he's just like, because he took over the team and he was decent out of the gate. Like I think he almost beat you in one of his first games.
He almost beat me at the end of last season, but he's beat me twice, and I owe him.
Yeah, and then the time, because that was him that he was like showboating his way to the end zone, holding out the ball, and then you sticked him at the 1 yard line.
No, that was greatness.
Yeah. Oh, that was greatness.
Yeah, that was the other Brock.
Too many Brock. Too many Brock bros. You get confused. Yeah. No, Trigga's good, and he had a lot of force loss because of his schedule.
That team was
who
not
knows how
great.
good he's always been.
The team wasn't great at all.
No, it wasn't.
Like that's a team you can just press and not worry about these receivers ever doing anything.
Yeah, or press bail.
Well, that one you can just press them.
You can actually press them.
Yeah. But he should actually. I mean, he might. His only loss was to 26-23 opening week to Texans.
Yeah.
So I mean, he could be 3-0 right now.
Yeah. Well, he figured out what he needs to do with that team. I think he's made a few moves. So I mean, it's obviously working out for him.
I mean, really, is Pax going to take the season off, or is he going to get it together? Because I would put money on him getting it together.
Oh, he'll get it
going
I
on
don't
a
think
huge
anybody's
run.
thinking he's
There's
taking the
no
year
way
off.
that Pax is. There's no way Pax is not making the playoffs. Even if I beat him week 3, I would. If there was Drew Vegas odds, there's everybody would put down. Yes, Pax
is not missing.
No.
I mean, one of us are going to be 1-2 regardless. But me and him are 1-1 playing each other and a win in overtime. One of us are going to be 1-2 regardless.
Well, that's not necessarily true. You don't play each other again.
Yeah, we do. No, we were going to be 1-2.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's what I'm like. 1 in record.
Right.
Standings. But yeah, Trigga off to a great start, and then he's got the Bengals this week, winnable game, and then he'll have Pax. Could be a huge game. I think he played him
Titans.
well last year. I'm gonna glance at that real quick and see if I'm full of shit or not. Okay, well he lost the first game 33-0, but the second game, nope, he lost that. He got killed in that one too. Okay, so he didn't play Pax well at all. He lost a combined 68-3 in those 2 games. So never mind.
Property of Pax.
Property of Pax. But yeah, Trigga. I could see him winning 8 or 9 games minimum. Let's see here. What else we got? Pax, of course, his question: are we living in the year of the germ? He's trying to shift the.
Yeah.
Yam knows how this works.
Oh, I do.
He's trying to shift the pressure. It's not. It ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
We haven't had a year of the germ in. I don't even remember the last time.
A few years.
Like a few real years.
I think I've heard the year of the Grom the last year and a half, but
No.
I don't want to agree with Seymour on anything, but I agree with him when he said this is your penance for what you did to us that Madden cycle.
yeah.
Because that was pretty rough. That was
I went to
like
all
Germ
6
was in the
Super
Super Bowl every year.
Yeah.
And if you had to play Germ, he was gonna win like 75-3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could either make it worse or you could lose 75-3.
I think I lost like 8 games the whole Madden. And 2 of them in Super Bowls.
I still remember when Gome beat you and it was like the hot news. It was like fresh off the press, like blueprint was used. So the word was said so many times
There
that
were
week.
articles written.
Yeah. Who wrote those
Good
brilliant
times.
articles?
Needed to draft a 99 speed wide receiver and surprise
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. It's so simple.
Somebody wants another emergency press conference. Emergency press conferences only come when there's an emergency. Okay, last time I used it, there was an emergency because V-Bank traded his whole team to the guys everybody promised not to trade him to.
Of course, this doesn't mean that people should go and create emergencies that they know will make Germ do emergency press conferences, because most of those emergencies will be bad things.
If I go into a third straight overtime, I think I might have my own emergency press conference. Yeah. I don't think I've had an overtime game all Madden, and I've had 2 in a row against the Fedo and Pax. Will greatness win the North?
No.
That's it.
I mean, if he'd have traded me Fields.
Hey, who owns MHC this Madden so far?
Greatness.
It's greatness, even when he wasn't any good, and now he's suddenly good.
I mean, MHC will be like, the game screwed me and something else.
Well,
we all know.
The first time MHC did use the excuse because I think he benched a bunch of guys because it was like the Week 18 matchup, and I think he had the 1 seed, so it didn't matter. And Greatness beat him, and Greatness, I think, was running his mouth, and he was like, well, I didn't have my guys in. Then he beat him again the next season. So, that's a fun rivalry, though.
Yeah.
I like that rivalry.
We'll see. I know. I'm looking forward to that first game.
So he's 3-0. MHC is what, 2-1? Oh, 1-1, and then he's got the Rams tomorrow. I guess today, by the time people see this.
Still have 5 undefeated teams, I think.
So
I'm interested in how that goes because, like, I played Jake, and it was one of those games where everything went right for me. I think it was like 40-6 or something. Like, it's one of those everything goes right games.
but if
where
it's
you
a
just feel
normal
bad.
game, Jake is going to be right with him.
Yeah, but Jake's roster is not great though, because this is like a rebuilding season. His I think he's got the lowest overall of anybody. It's like 78 or 79 overall.
Yeah,
So I'm interested to see how it does against MHC, who has the best overall team.
I guess we'll see, because Jake, he's on, like we talked about in the last OG, he got one of those new quarterbacks that he changed his decision based on the information he got from some good intentioned fellow coach. But that being said, I said well intentioned. It didn't work out for him. I don't want to take credit for the fact that Jake got screwed, but I am. But I mean, even then, that quarterback does have that lightning fast release, and I'll tell you, that in itself is worth a lot. I think Jake's going to do pretty well with that guy, and he could beat MHC easily.
Oh, so he does have the fast release guy?
Yeah, there was 3 of them.
Yeah, so he'll get used to him then, because you're killing it with your guy.
Yeah, well, so what's the Dream Vegas breakdown right now? Like, without revealing who bet what, like
on that game, Rams Packers.
Just for who's picked. Is anyone picked the Rams yet?
Well, what was the? Of course, you would ask me this.
The impromptu nature of the OG.
What did I even make the line?
Well, I have no Packers. Line. It's the game of the week.
No, it's not. What? No, it's not the game of the week. Your game was the game of the week. So this one, Packers are favored by 11.5.
Oh, well, there you
go. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 Packers bets and 1, 2, 3, 4 Rams bets. So
there you go.
It's split at the 11.5 line.
It was good enough that only 8 people bet because they were scared off.
Yeah.
And any underdogs besides maybe one that I know of?
I know you picked the Rams as an underdog.
Well, because I would have won the Smithy underdog already, and I'd be sitting in money.
So. Ironically, we've got 2 admins going against the MHC. So you picked them as the underdog, Rams as the underdog winner, and Tyrant with the underdog winner. And Soup also picked him as an underdog winner.
But was Tyrant's was also like had to be a secondary one because we lost out on Smithy, right? Or was his right? His was right from the beginning. Yep. Right from the beginning, he had no faith in his fellow Red. That's good.
I think he's done that before. I think he did that last where he went against the MHC. The Reds are fighting.
Yep.
Don't you hate it when mom and dad argue?
I know, right?
I would never stir the pot, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Pax wants to know how he stops his losing woes. Well, you can stop playing.
Stop trying to get Hill 500 yards a game and just run your offense.
Yep.
I don't think that.
No,
his offense is still killing it.
It is, but I mean,
don't spend half of your payroll on 4 guys.
No, Flap is 100% right. Like, and Pax is going to be fine. Like this is like Pax is a perfect situation of getting a bunch of really shiny new toys and really wanting to use them so much that you get out of your game plan. Once Pax will settle down. He's done this in previous seasons where he's got new toys. It takes him a game or two where he
usually when he does when he loses a few games, it's always at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and then he figures out, okay, this is what I can do with these new toys. This is what I can't do. I'm only going to do the good things that I know I can do with these new toys, and then he just destroys everybody for the rest of the league. So,
and all of his games have been close. Like that's the 6-game loss, a 6-point loss, and a 3-point loss. That's literally a score away from changing the outcome. So,
yeah. Well, and before too, you got to remember that like it's a lot easier when you have DK and Mims. To just look at one, and then if that one's not open, you look at the other one probably will be. When you got 3 guys, it can be a little bit harder to get used to that because you look at DK, but then do you look at Mims next, or do you look at Tyreek next? Or if you're looking at Tyreek next, vice versa. Like when you have 3 standout guys,
a terrible problem to have.
It can be. Honestly, it can be more beneficial just to have 2 elite guys, just because you know which guy to look at second.
That's why you always sometimes
exactly.
And Pax has said he doesn't like being a run heavy team, but I'm like, I'd rather run to set up the pass than
Oh,
try
yeah.
and pass set up.
Yeah,
the
and
run,
I've
'cause
said that about him.
Seymour is
plenty
about
of
the only
times.
person I've seen that will consistently pass himself into the run game, and it's hard.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, I love to run and set up a pass. Let's see. Will Leek make the playoffs before the end of this Madden?
Definitely.
Oh,
He's been playing really well lately, and his new computer is obviously taking care of his FPS and input lag issues, because he played me in Isle, and the only reason I beat him was goal line lurk at the very end of the game.
oh yeah, I saw that. I caught the end of that game.
And even that, it was kind of just a bad decision on his part. I think he would have had another receiver wide open, but still, it was like 7-10 the end of the game,
Yeah.
and he was driving.
Well, he beat Pink, who made the playoffs. He only lost by 3 to Doge, and Doge made the playoffs.
I'll tell you, like,
And he's got a pretty. I mean, that's a very favorable schedule. His next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. His next 5 games are against teams that are 1 and 2.
yeah, and you know what? Every time I've played Leek, it's always been a close game. Like, he plays really good defense.
Yeah.
And if the computer is helping him just like with just that little bit, then I absolutely think even in the NFC that he could squeeze into the playoffs. No offense to the NFC, but
Sure.
we've seen the
Sure.
last 5 seasons.
How many running backs?
The
has he
records
had?
for the last playoffs. So
He's this year's SamWow, that's for sure.
Yeah.
His leading rusher now is Edwards-Helaire. Why does he go through so many freaking running backs?
Wait, isn't Hill hurt? Didn't Justice hurt? I mean,
Are they?
I thought that's what he said.
Justice had
Chad, I
8
could be
carries.
wrong.
Maybe he got hurt in that game. Because Helaire ended up with 13 carries in that game. So maybe Justice got hurt. I hope
I think he
that's
does
what
like
happened.
I think he does like a new toy in the backfield every season. That's probably what it is.
Is Edwards-Helaire at least not 86 speed anymore? I couldn't
No,
believe
he's still
that.
86.
He's slow, but he's got good COD. I almost picked him up in free agency just as backup.
Yeah, he's got 91. 91 COD. 72 catch. So, I mean, he's a good third down running back. Out of the backfield. But yeah, I can see it. I mean, the NFC is definitely the least FC. Am I right, Flap?
I don't know. Press Bell is really changing the field now.
Changing.
Oh, good times.
Well, you started coming on last season after you were looking for Marty Cooper the first 7 weeks of the season.
Yeah, it's it's Press Bell didn't even get mentioned until like week 15 of last season. So I didn't even know about it then. All I did was ran a more horizontal passing game.
Oh.
I have speed, but I can't really stretch the field.
But you're a sim press Baylor, right? Like you actually do actual press sometimes to make people wonder whether it's actually press Baylor or not.
Yes.
Attaboy.
I'm still scared to press. So it's still terrifying to do.
I'll still press against some guys. But
my corners are high man, high speed, but they're not high press. They don't have 90 press. So.
All right, who is the best rookie quarterback? Sure, Gom loves.
I already posted his
question.
stats in the league chat. He's
Who's
doubled.
Gom's?
He's got more than double my yardage.
Oh yeah.
And I'm eight touchdowns in 1 pick.
Oh wow, you did post the exact question, really.
Did he? Like when?
Well, he just put it's in league chat.
Yeah. Donovan Bash has 1147. Meeks is 780. The Rams is 572, and I'm behind him.
Chargers are 3-0. He's thrown for 400 yards. My man loves defense.
Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, that's just the rookies. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just rookies.
Well, but Mathis has a game, so if he throws for 700 yards,
that's true. That's true. But then he'd have the cooldown, so you'd still have a game winning.
That's right. I guarantee you, Donovan Batch will not win Rookie of the Year. It'll be some running back that's like a backup.
That's 400 yards.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think Batch is definitely the best rookie quarterback, and I think it's because of that fast motion that Gom's got, because he's killing everybody with it.
The fast motion and
Speedy
the oblivious sense of pressure.
Oh yeah. I agree.
Because I'll tell you, you watch all three of those games, I've got maybe one or two inaccurates in all three games combined.
We've all been fooled by Tyrant
Tyrant,
into removing our
Yep.
oblivious sense of pressure.
yeah, moving
I'm gonna
oblivious.
move Baker down to oblivious.
Yeah, well, maybe if you like actually request to go down to, you can get 2 extra points somewhere else, right? Because to upgrade someone else on.
He's only 81 speed though. I was hoping he'd be like 84 speed.
He should have been. He got a
Still
really bad
fine,
roll on
but-
the speed. Yeah, and I'm not a scrambling
I know,
quarterback, and so yeah, it's a shame that he's not a little faster.
because
to
I think
get away,
Baker
but-
is like 84 speed, and
Yeah.
sometimes I mean it. Out and I'll
Yeah,
a
it can
little
be
bit for him.
helpful. I was really sad about the 81 because he was supposed to be the fastest of the bunch, and I think that at least Mathis or Dobson is faster than him. So
Really?
He's not a burner, but he could still run some read option. I feel like 80 is enough to run some read option.
yeah, if I ever ran with the quarterback on the RPOs, then I could do it. It's not part of my game. I just don't like it. It's the young man's thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
since I got Huff, I have been trying to run a little bit, just a couple times a game, and usually I hand it off, but if maybe you get 3 or 4 yards out of the keeper.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, that I don't know what it is. Like I looked it up, that oblivious thing, before I decided whether I was gonna roll up, because the best I could have done is moved up 2 spots, which goes from oblivious to
Ideal.
no, there's like 5. It goes oblivious, and then paranoid,
gotcha.
and then trigger happy, and then average, and then ideal. So I would have got to trigger happy, which I think is bad for actually getting inaccurates, because I think if you're trigger happy, then you're just like, I'm getting rid of it. So oblivious works. You just fumble a lot, because I fumbled every single game.
Fumbled this game, but I had it coming. You try
Would
to
you
throw
rather
the
have
ball
2
right as you get hit.
inaccurates or a fumble?
Honestly, I'm okay with 1 fumble a game.
I don't. Nope.
I'll
Because
recover. I'll
eventually-
recover half of them, but
Eventually, that momentum is going to kick you in the face. This
Yeah,
fumble
I know.
momentum is insane.
Well, I'll tell you this, that even if half of those fumbles end up being turnovers and half of those are pick 6 or fumble 6s, I'll tell you that every third inaccurate that you throw is probably a pick 2. So I'll take the trade-off. Just so I don't have to be like Jerem when Baker throws inaccurates and just go, Baker,
It
you're
look,
killing me.
every third game he'll miss 10 passes. Like he'll miss a ton of passes. Like against PAX, the first half against PAX, he missed everything.
Yeah. And see, wouldn't you trade 1 fumble a game to have all those go away?
Nope.
Man, if only you had a different quarterback.
Hey,
Baker.
Whose fault is that?
That's don't even, sir. That's your
I don't
fault.
even want to jinx it, but Baker is off to a pretty good start this season.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Pretty
I mean,
good start.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like I did not have these kind of games with Carr, like batch that quick release. I can see why MHC would love Rodgers all for those first 4 seasons. Just being able to just get rid of it. That half a second allows guys to be open because you're getting the ball there so much faster.
Yeah.
So
This question, it's kind of hard to answer off the top of our head. Best upset so far through the 3 weeks. One comes to mind instantly for me. I'll go ahead and talk while y'all are thinking. And that is PAX and VBank in the first game. Now, VBank beating somebody, it shouldn't really be an upset. But when it was the first game after the Tyreek Hill trade, then he's got to face him. I think everybody kind of expected that to, like, I even think my Vegas line may have been like 13 or 14. And VBank looked awesome that game and started the season off 1-0. So
well, at the time we talked about this on the last OG about VBank, was just that, like, when we're talking about fantasy, that none of us, like, we wanted to take the Albert O,
yeah,
but at that point in time we just didn't know. We've never seen VBank do anything offensively to make us believe that he could do anything, because he couldn't throw it.
yeah. We were recording last time when that game was on. That's right.
Yeah.
So we did actually talk about that game. So
yeah. So it was definitely an upset, because at that point in time, VBank hadn't done anything offensively, much less enough offensively to deal with PAX, and yet here you go. Alberto just destroyed PAX the whole game, and that was probably, I think that was one of the biggest upsets at the time, but it's obviously no one's going to sleep on VBank anymore.
I'm trying to think of more. Taste beat Sinax. That was pretty big upset.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I mean, I just played Taste today and I can tell you that he can run the ball and short passing game is elite and the defense is really stout. So I'm not surprised that he won at all. But Trigga over Maloney week 2, that's probably
That's
pretty
pretty.
big
I mean,
upset.
just based on. I mean, was last season he went 0-17, and now he's 2-1. So
Yeah.
it's quite the turnaround.
Oh, me and Flap get to play for like first time in forever in like 3 weeks. That'll be fun.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna run White Trail 7 times in a row.
Koopa riding the wave so far with 3 straight upsets. He's been the underdog in all 3 games, and he's 3-0.
Wow.
And all 3 are AFC West games, and then his next 2 games are Raiders and Chiefs. His first 5 games are AFC West.
He spent so much money on Galladay.
I know, because he took him from me.
Oh yeah. I feel so bad for you,
Well,
Mr. Spending all your money on Galladay because you knew I wouldn't.
Well, then he ended up having to trade Keenan Allen because of that, and I got Keenan Allen, so it all worked out in the end.
Yep.
I just lost my draft picks instead of $30 million. Anyways, so yeah, Koopa going 3 straight upsets. Upset itself. And
Good job, Koopa.
We got Leek beat Pink. That was kind of an upset. Just trying to glance at him here.
I mean, greatness clobbering Gorilla in week 1 was a big surprise that I thought, just because Gorilla
for sure
at the beginning of the season is usually.
Wait, he
good.
lost that game?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because they tried. It looks like they played it 8 times. Like it was actually played. That was one where
they couldn't start.
Yeah, it wasn't.
They were
working.
like,
They were
one more time.
Yeah, and they got it. It was either that or they did a sim, but
World is pretty wiggly. So
this question, I haven't really checked the schedule for the next few weeks, but somebody asked, what do you expect from the next stretch of games, like the next 4 or 5 games? So, like, is there anybody we think that might be 1-2 or 2-1, and they might just go on a run here, other than
like Gome was saying earlier, you know, as people are starting to figure out how to implement their new weapons and their new toys, I could definitely see some people turning it around. I mean, there's been plenty of guys we've already seen that probably shouldn't be 1-2 or something around there.
Yeah. Yeah, like Mustang. Mustang's 1-2, and I think both losses are to Koopa, right?
Did you lose twice to Koopa?
So let me check.
Madden's weird with those double division games in the first 3
Yeah,
weeks
he lost
sometimes.
27-13
He lost them both.
and 24-17 both to Koopa, and then he beat Taste in between.
Yeah, honestly, I don't see Mustang losing again for.
We can't build up Mustang again. We can't do it.
No,
we're the reason he's where he is right now.
Even though Mustang will probably win so much, he cannot make the playoffs just because Koopa beating him twice means it's not physically possible. So sorry,
I'd give Mustang an F- on the start to the season. Yeah.
At some point
F.
though, see Koopa needs to be like 11-0 though, because he's supposed to be gone like the whole month of May or something like that.
That's right.
So he better keep this train rolling. But we have had three different division winners, 3 straight seasons for the AFC West, and Koopa is next, and he's 3-0.
Yep.
Destiny, my friends.
I believe in Koopa. His schedule is not terrible. You know, it's going to be that May time off. It's going to Koopa. You just need to get a laptop with you. Bring a laptop. Figure out a way to get on a Wi-Fi for an hour, and don't kill your season.
You really don't need that much power to run.
You really don't.
Just turn the settings down.
All right, this is my favorite question. Yeah, why can't Sherm put coach's name in alphabetical order in any of his Google Forms?
That's a fantastic question. My name's always right at the top. I'm like, why?
It is a great question, and
I think
it was originally, I did it by divisions on one of the forums at the very beginning. And then I think these latest ones was because of like the German Vegas standings, and I just like copied and threw it over there.
I know one of them.
So there's no method to why they are in the order that they are.
I thought one of them was the team selection order.
It could be. Like I just remember copying it, and I was like, oh, here's all the names.
I remember it said Gom MHC. I'm like, oh, of course. Like remind everybody about that.
Yeah, those sons of bitches. All right, here is maybe, and by now everybody should know where they're at in the form. They just scroll down. All right, I'm right here. I'm between these two guys. Maybe I'll put them in alphabetical order. Who knows? Depends. I also need need an intern.
Leek.
Next question. Here's the long one. You've brought up the possibility of limiting OL position swapping. Instead of just guards have to be guards and tackles have to be tackles, how do you feel about making requirements like we do with DL and edge position swapping? Seems like strength, speed, lead block, maybe others could factor into allowed changes if this rule is implemented next cycle. So what he's talking about, if people don't know, we have mentioned next Madden we would like to be more strict with our offensive line changes and make tackles stay tackles. You can't play a tackle at guard. You can't play a tackle at center. They have to stay tackles. Guards should stay guards. Centers should stay centers. I think the reason is when you just sign a bunch of tackles or trade for a bunch of tackles or draft a bunch of tackles and then just move them wherever you want, it's diminishing the position, basically. It's allowing you to do whatever the hell you want. But in the draft, if you need a guard and you have to draft a guard instead of just drafting the best offensive lineman, it makes the draft, I think it just makes the draft that much better. It makes the free agency better. It makes the trade market better. So that's
I'm definitely
what he's
guilty
about.
of putting
everybody is
tackles in at guard, but I
everybody
feel like
is.
there is a trade-off with that. I mean, I feel like they're always out of the gate. They're a little better at run blocking because they're bigger, but then they're usually terrible at the pass game. And
I don't think it matters enough. Honestly, just from my experience, I don't think it matters. I think you just plug and play. Yeah, I think you just plug and play and be fine.
Yeah,
it'd be nice to change up the drafts a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, because it's going to be like more of a dual change, right? A, you won't be able to position change these guys, and B, you won't be able to put somebody at tackle into your guard or center depth chart either.
Right.
Because otherwise you're just countering it by saying, oh, I'm not allowed to change this guy to a center. Well, whatever. I'll just still stick him on my depth chart as center. He'll still be exactly the same as you would. You just won't have that nice little C by his name anymore. So
I mean, everybody's been doing this for years.
Yes.
It's something I've wanted for a while.
Yeah. So so to the question, I mean, if someone is like their physical stats make them like an ideal tackle, I personally don't like it just because then finding that threshold where this guy now qualifies because he's 90 strength, but if he was 89 strength he wouldn't. I just don't like it, especially that you can train because like it's like, hey, let's make him center now.
And like the god tackles, you're gonna be able to move them wherever because they're going to be high enough in every single
they'll
category.
Qualify for everything.
So I think it would kind of defeat the purpose,
I like
really.
that. And honestly, I don't know where we are with this one either, but to me, even I kind of feel the same way about linebackers, like about middle and outside linebacker having some sort of a little bit more strict.
I just wish Madden would get out of this old age of thinking with just make make pass coverage linebackers and make edge rushers. Yeah, just make those two positions and then you can play them however.
Oh, it'd be beautiful.
Where would centers fit in? Because interior alignment could still be swapped.
Well, so that was something we were still kind of discussing about guards and centers. But I think my hope is that centers stay centers because there's only in real life, not a lot of guards can just move to center.
Right.
Like some of them can, but for the most part, when you draft a college center, he's going to play center in the NFL. You're not going to find some guard in the NFL. I'm like, hey, can you suddenly play center? Like, it usually don't happen. Sometimes it does, but it's kind of an anomaly.
Yeah, and when you see someone in it, like in an NFL game where the center goes down or the backup center's gone, and you throw a guard in there, you're gonna have a whole bunch. There's usually several botched snaps that happen because that's the thing about the center. A center is a completely different position because they've got to be able to do the snap and then block, as opposed to the other guys who once it's snapped, they can do the same thing.
I just think it'd be awesome if there's I think it'd be awesome if there's 4 or 5 really good centers in the league, and then there's not a lot of good centers. So the trade value on those 4 or 5 centers would be crazy.
Exactly.
And like going into the draft, knowing, hey, this center class is loaded or this center class is terrible, I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, well, and that would be the great thing. Like, especially if you're really waiting for a center, then a center could go 1.1 and nobody would bat an eye, because if they're that rare, then it's where they should be going. So
Yeah, instead now, pretty much people just draft the best offensive lineman and then just plug and play.
Yeah.
So offensive line drafting has never been interesting in this league, or in any league, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, no, I agree.
I'm glad I never had to do a long snap or anything like that. It was always under center.
And the next question is like, is Germ a sociopath? Is that why he has no empathy about putting coach's name in alphabetical order? He doubled down. Here's another really good one. Since Pax and Gom are both clearly going to miss the playoffs, just ask them, who are the new faces we will see in the AFC playoffs?
Palm and Gax.
Gom's making the playoffs.
Yeah,
Oh, look at that confidence. New quarterback, new man.
I'm like 3-0, I think.
Yeah. This is the guy I like.
I'm
I've never
2-0.
seen this guy.
I think I'm 3-0, right?
Or
is
hope
it
you're
2-0?
3-0.
I don't even remember.
3 games.
Yeah, you are 3-0.
There you go. Yeah, see, I mean, I can't say I'm not.
All right, so Pax is not going to make the playoffs. Who's going to take Pax's spot? In the
Yeah,
playoffs?
there you
If
go.
you ask Pax, he's clearly not going to make it.
Yeah, I know, but he's never made the playoffs, and he never will make the playoffs. So, well, Koopa's making the playoffs. I mean,
Well,
I
we
thought
don't.
it was
know.
I
one of
really
two
hope
Jags.
this doesn't jinx him.
We don't know
but
when his vacation starts, though.
I'm not going to say that. I don't care. I'm not going to say he's winning the Super Bowl,
He
because
said,
that's
I
the
don't
jinx.
care.
That's the jinx. But Koopa's making the playoffs. Like his start, and he's got the team that he loves now. And he traded with Gom. And when you trade with Gom, you make the playoffs.
He is 32nd in the league in passing
Flappy
yards per
knows
game.
this. Flappy knows
And
this
3-0.
firsthand. You trade with Gom, you make the playoffs, don't you, Flap?
Remember, guys, you just stop trading with people forever, and you never have to deal with it again. Ever.
We haven't talked about Johnny. Johnny's 3-0 too.
Yeah,
It's
how
not
about
really
that?
surprising though. He's a good player.
I
He's a
know
good
he did
coach.
miss the playoffs last year, though, right?
Yeah.
I think he
But
did.
now yeah.
I mean, you had to get 11 wins to get in last year in the AFC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no surprises left in the AFC. Like, Gorilla's 1-2. But he made the playoffs last year. So who didn't, like, Johnny's the only one that didn't make the playoffs, and Koopa. But I think Koopa's gonna miss the last 4 or 5 games.
And Mustang.
Yeah, but he's not making the playoffs. Remember?
That's right.
Johnny had his quarterback woes last year. I think that was the big reason he didn't have anybody to throw.
All right, so let's just
That 98
transition it
speed guy.
into so Joe Daddy, the Texans, and Trigga's Patriots are both 2-1. Which one of them could potentially make a run?
So Patriots, and what are the other two teams?
Patriots and Texans.
Oh, just
I'm going
Patriots. Or
Patriots.
Texans.
Obviously, he was pulling a gum and having a bad season last season. Because I think he's better than he's
happened.
let on.
Yeah,
It is funny how teams can go 0-17 and then suddenly win 8 games.
Yeah.
Because that
Funny how that
not a veg
happens.
did that. He went 0-17, then he won like 8 games next year, but now he's back to back to not winning a lot of games.
Yep.
Some
When
people, I guess, can throw caution to the wind when they really don't care anymore, but it's hard. I could mess around and still win 6 games.
Yeah, but you're in the NFC, so.
Oh yeah, that's right.
At least FC.
Well, of those two teams, I mean, they played each other week 1, right? And that
Yeah.
was the one
That
where
was
a close one, right?
Texans won. Yeah,
it was close. I mean,
3
yeah,
points.
I think obviously Trigga, if he plays every game, I think he's got his.
I've
really
played
high
Trigga three or 4 times now, and in this league he wasn't nearly as good as he is in the other league. But I think it's just because he wasn't used to the roster yet. I think now he's used to the roster. He's got some players. He's like it's starting to become his team. I think he can. I don't know if he can make a run to make the playoffs, but I think he could win 8 to 10 games.
I mean, I'm just going to say this, that anyone in that division is going to be making the playoffs is going to be a struggle, because you've got the Jets twice and the Dolphins twice. So that's 4 losses every season. So you basically have to win every other game.
Maybe he only lost by 65 to Pax in those 2 games.
Oh, I'm not saying he couldn't do it. But I think he's also got a Fedo on his schedule this year, and I think he's got Jake
and we got the
Soup.
NFC West, so he's got Soup.
Yeah. So that's gonna be. We're pulling for you. All of us who aren't in that division, like Germ, are pulling for you. So.
Washington football team is in trouble with early losses and Synax going on vacation. Who wins the East now, Flappy or Pink?
Yeah, Synax is always on vacation, isn't he?
I know he vacates a lot. Man, my man is a wanted man in many areas apparently.
Let you guys know next week when I play Pink, because that might be the turning point.
Now you've been beating. What's your record against him this Madden? You know, you've played 6 times probably.
I'm pretty sure we've split every season. I want to say, I think we split. I feel like I always beat him once and he's beat me by, and they're always usually close games.
Yeah.
I need to look that up.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it might be like just to make him feel good because he's on here with us, but I believe in Flap. I believed in Flap at the middle of last season when I told him,
"Return of the Flap.
You're gonna be fine. Season, you'll get over Cooper, and everything's gonna be fine." And from then on, Flap was just.
Last season, I beat him by 7, and he beat me by 3 in the last game.
And now you're better.
I am a lot better. This team was a lot better than it was offensively, anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're
I beat him by
the
1 the season before, and he beat me by 3 in the same season. So all of our games so far have been 1 score. I think going back.
Just like in real life, the league is better when the Cowboys are good.
Yes, of course.
Right. Yeah. And this is like when Flap had like who was that guy in Madden 19? That receiver that you just were loved when I had Maxi.
Oh man, I had no idea who you're talking about. Oh, that's right. It's Hale, the guy you guys murdered.
Yes.
Oh hell. Oh hell.
Hale.
I posted a clip of him. I found in the clip manager recently.
It's so weird to see highlights of old Maddens.
It was so much fun to go like play action and just throw it, and you didn't have to look at the receiver at all or the coverage. You just had to look at the offensive line and make sure that you weren't about to get insta-sacked and just touch pass. Moss.
Yep. Done. Same with Maxi. It was beautiful.
All right.
So beautiful.
Thoughts on the Bears and their hot start? So the Bears are 3-0 with wins over Gorilla, Smithy, and Intel. He beat Intel by 1, 43-42 in a shootout.
I think he's going to make the playoffs because, from what I understand and from what I've heard in chat, he likes to troll and he likes to put on a show. So that means if he's actually applying himself, he's going to keep winning. So,
well, he gets himself up for some games because he almost beat me. He should have beat me. He was up 20 and celebrating a pick 6 and fumbled. And then he's beat MHC twice. How many people in this league this season have beat MHC twice?
Not Gunslinger MHC.
So
no. Yeah, I guess we'll see if maybe that's why MHC did the trade, just to figure out a way to beat greatness. Now he's got the defense to hopefully do it since the offense wasn't working.
Ridiculous offense.
So he's 3-0, but 2 of those are against Intel and Smithy. I mean, they haven't been the most successful franchises. The other one is Gorilla, and he beat him by 21. Now we've all witnessed Gorilla when the wheels start to come off in a game. They just So
you're either gonna lose to Gorilla or you're gonna beat him by 30.
This week I think is going to tell us if he's going to make the playoffs or not, because he's been pushing me all weekend for the Lions Bears game to be the game of the week, and I made it the game of the week. And so he's got all the pressure on him now. He's got the pressure on him like a playoff team. So will he respond? And if he doesn't, that means he'll be 3-1, and then he plays Soup next week. So, could be a rough stretch if he doesn't respond well. And so far, there is only one other person who has picked the Bears. Everybody is picking the Lions. And the one other person that picked the Bears is Gorilla.
Not surprising.
Yep. Any other thoughts on the Bears? No, Bears. Oh, and he also asked, is Justin Fields in the MVP conversation right now? Yes, Fields is doing awesome so far.
Well, I'll tell you, if he
Can't believe he
beats,
almost traded him.
if he beats MHC both those games, he's got the playoffs. He's got the
He
division.
actually did trade him a
Well,
couple of times,
I know.
and it got declined. I even got traded when I was talking to Greatness and Koopa at the same time and trying to help Koopa get Dak.
Yeah.
Koopa went under me and
I almost even had
shook hands with him for Fields, and I was like, "You really undercut me while I'm talking to you in DMs, you asshole."
Boy,
I almost had Fields at one point myself. I think everybody almost had him.
Koopa taking players from both you guys this season. Eh?
Yeah, Koopa's pretty.
He was willing and dealing
Cutthroat.
this year.
School at MHC.
Usually he's not willing and dealing like he was this season. I swear, when people start to make trades, whether you make the trade or not, when you get invested into like roster turnover and everything, it makes you play better. I swear, because you're more into the league. If you're just playing with the same team every week and you're not trying to improve it,
a big trade for me before this Madden would have been like a 3rd-round pick for defensive tackle with Tyrant or something. This backup defensive tackle. I didn't really make a lot of splashy moves outside of, Khalil Mack and the occasional late cycle move. But this year I have been open to making whatever moves, and it's definitely got me more into it, with it being my favorite team too. But
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, like making moves and getting new toys and stuff is basically like getting the closest you can come to getting a new Madden, because it's going to be something fresh and new for you. So it's going to feel like a new game. And that's basically almost what we want every season, because if you've had a whole season with a team, doing another season with that exact same team is going to start to get repetitive. So at least getting new toys kind of gets you a little bit more invested, and you're like, oh, good, something new and exciting to keep this from getting monotonous. So I can see that.
This next question, I just read it for the first time because this is the last one that came in. I'm going to let y'all guess who asked this question, and I promise I think you'll get it right. Would you rather get early GG'd while up 35 and lose, or have an intimate night with an AGS coach of your choosing? Who asked that?
Probably Leek.
No.
Come on. It's talking about intimate night.
Leek would never even type out the word intimate.
Yeah, Leek's never said intimate in his life. It was Gom's former podcast teammate.
Yeah.
It's such a gorilla question. Come on, guys.
Well, I could see Mustang doing it too, because
Mustang does troll. Mustang is pretty good at troll. Pretty good, and he's able to like do it without anybody getting pissed off at him, which is even better.
Yep.
Like he's able to sneak it in. But I think I can kind of do that a little bit too. Nobody gets too pissed if I
everyone still loves Jeremy.
Sneak it in. But yeah, I think we're just gonna let that one slide. We're just gonna leave that question out. I think I'd have
not even gonna make it this far into the podcast, so
yeah. Well, I don't know. For whatever reason, people seem to listen to the whole damn thing. I don't know how.
Yeah, somehow.
All right, Gorla, this is your tag me when you hear this part, so I know that you actually made it this far.
Oh yeah, Gorla might not listen to the whole thing, but most people do. Like Brock, how about Brock, tag me when you get to this part. Let's see. Would you rather be part of the Brock Bros or Team Axe?
It's not a question for me. That's for you guys.
Yeah, I guess you already are on Team Axe, aren't you?
Yeah,
I'm the original OG Axe.
You are the O Axe.
And if we count Soup, because he's now Soup Axe.
Soup Axe.
So
I feel like the Brock Bros be a good time though.
Yeah.
Like if we're talking Madden and winning games, I think I'd rather be an Axe. If we're talking about having a good time, I think I want to be a Brock Bro.
Yeah.
Well, it's the league fees.
Although you do get to go on lots of vacation with freaking Sonics and Pax.
That's true.
They're always every time.
They're always traveling.
Pax is like, hey, can we play right after Advance? Because I'm going to play you in my car while I'm driving down the road.
Yeah.
While I'm driving West Texas to Seattle.
I guess currently the Brock Bros have Hank, so that's stocks up a little bit for that.
Well. Yeah, no, I love the Brock Bros. I can imagine that their voice chats are probably extremely entertaining.
I wish they'd join us on draft day.
Yeah, they always have their own thing going.
Yeah.
We need to have an all Brock Bro OG episode.
Greatness wouldn't even play Counter-Strike with me. I was blown away. I was like, that's like the one game that I'm actually really good at. It wouldn't even add me.
The good old Counter-Strike source days.
Son of a.
Those were fun times.
All right, I think
On to the trades.
that's it on the questions. Yeah, let's talk about some trades here.
Trades.
So last show, I wanted to go over the trades of the off season, and we went 3 hours. Never happened. Right now, we're at an hour and 20 minutes, and it still hasn't happened. So we're gonna talk about the trades here real quick. So let me pull up the trades.
It's always fun how at the beginning of each episode we say, well, we went over 2 hours last time, and we're definitely not going to go over 2 hours this time.
Well, we're 40 minutes away. So all right. So I just threw up a bunch of trades here, and I sent it to you guys. It's the one that has Lattimore and Jamar Chase and all.
The first one, right?
Yeah. So let's discuss some of these trades here real quick and how these guys are doing. So I'll just grab one and you guys will talk, whatever. We'll just jump around. So let's talk about, since that was the first one on there, I'll just go ahead and talk about it. So Saints and Bengals, Marshawn Lattimore to the Bengals, Jamar Chase and Deion Dawkins to the Saints. So, so far, is Chase not at like the top of the leaderboard? And I feel like he's force-feeding the crap out of Chase so far, isn't he?
Well, I'll tell you that I love this trade, even given the fact, despite the fact that I hate Marshawn Lattimore because he cost me the Super Bowl win and he's now in my division. But I love this trade just because it ended up really working out against my playoff or against my game against Brock, because Lattimore not being there was so good, and it allowed me to actually throw the ball.
Oh, you actually shut down Chase. He had one catch.
Yeah,
it was a touchdown.
That was the other thing. Like, I was freaked out about Chase, and yet Newsome shut him down. I think he had like 6 deflections in that game. Wow. So for that one game, I love that trade.
He's still got.
But now you have to face Lattimore twice.
Well, I think I've already faced him once, so at least that's out of the way.
I'm not as scared of elite corners as, it's just not the same as last year.
I don't know.
Unless you do something, right, Flap?
I don't like the corners.
I don't know what that is, though.
Lattimore picked me off twice last year. I would have never traded him.
Oh, man. I hate Lattimore so much.
Yeah.
So, I'm pretty sure I threw him at least one as well.
But for Brock, I think Brock was starting to get burnt out, and he likes real players. That's why he wanted to get rid of, which I guess we'll talk about that other one too, Streeter.
Yeah, so he doesn't like generated guys?
He don't like generated guys. He says he loses interest, and he has to have real dudes. And see, I'm kind of the opposite. I love like Manny Rudolph is my. I would not trade. I'll trade Waddle and anybody before I trade Manny freaking Rudolph. I will not trade Manny Rudolph ever. I love drafting a guy and developing him.
As long as Madden's cooking them or whatever correctly, I think it's really cool. Like, I mean, we've had a few generated guys that have been super dominant. I think that's cool. We've had defensive guys and offensive guys.
Yeah, I normally love generated guys. I mean, I haven't had any this entire Madden that, except for my new quarterback. This is the first generated guy I've been excited about in the whole CFM, because it's just been really hard to hit on the generated guys unless you have a high pick. At least,
I really only had 2.
This was a good batch.
Rudolph and that corner I drafted, Watts. Those are the only 2 they even play for me.
Yep. But I also, since I got the first pick in the team selection, I figure I should let other people have the good draft guys, right?
Right. Very noble.
Yeah, I thought so.
Don't forget about the cooldown for the draft, the team draft.
If only that had been a question, but nobody submitted it. So
I'll question
the
myself.
The Brock Rose are gonna unleash on you guys for that one.
Aaron Rodgers getting traded to McGee.
I hate it. MHC even said in chat prior to making this move that he's like, he couldn't afford it. So I think that he was likely to drop him into free agency, and we could have just bid on him.
Yeah. Flap was so angry about this trade that he just went blurry.
Yeah, it was rough.
Super
And I was like, you bailed him out. And then when I saw that it was McGee, I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
So I already know how I'm going to have to play McGee now, because I'm going to have to worry about Aaron Rodgers gunslinging it around.
Yeah. Now something happened to your camera. You're like all blurry now, Flap. There you go. Now you're starting to get back.
My internet.
Do one of those.
It was more of a, I think, autofocus on your.
There
on
it
your
is.
webcam. There you go. All better.
Woo!
See,
I think you
I
even
don't
grew
think.
a couple facial hair right there.
I know. Yeah.
It's enhance.
I don't think we can even really talk about this trade like just on its own, because we know that this trade was a stepping stone to get somewhere else.
Well,
Like you can talk about this. We can talk about this like it was for McGee, and McGee is like probably thrilled that he has Aaron Rodgers. I mean, with 2 seasons left, it's a great trade for him.
Wasn't Avant pretty good though?
He was mobile, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think he had the wide receivers to really, and the protection to really get them open.
He's got one of those teams you can just press.
Yeah. So let's talk about the trade that this was a stepping stone for, because it was the big one. That
Gave him the pick because he flipped that first round into Jalen Ramsey.
Yep. Down there, you can see Kenny Clark, first round pick number 11, first round pick number 30 for Jalen Ramsey. How? This was part of why Jerm called an emergency session. This was one of the trades that caused it. The emergency broadcast.
It did cause it. However, I don't even think I talked about it on there. I just talked
No,
about
I know. All you were talking about was the AFC.
It was just 2 minutes. If I would have started talking about this, I would have went 3 hours. Yeah, I'm just not trading Jalen Ramsey for anything ever. That's just that would just be my attitude. But I mean, it's a fair trade. I can't say it's not a fair trade.
It's completely fair trade.
And Kenny Clark does have inside stuff, and inside stuff is the shiz. I mean, it might not work sometimes, and you do have to double team, but it's still making the offense do something. Like they have to account for him every single run, basically.
I mean, I had Ramsey in our fantasy league, and it was Ramsey and Byron Jones, and I just remember him getting burned all the time. So I kind of feel like he's in the same boat as Aaron Donald, where it's nice to have, but you probably don't want to. I mean, if you get value for him, you should trade him.
I
not to MHC.
I disagree. Honestly, I think Jalen Ramsey, if you calling the right defense, he's just locked down. And
the right kind of press.
Well, yeah.
Just the right.
Like I don't know how much man coverage you use, but Jalen Ramsey, I believe, is 100% in man coverage corner.
My man coverage has gotten better because I've started to use their safety, and I think that's why I was getting burned all the time trying to run that. Not because of press bail, because I was still using the linebackers or the edge rusher.
Yeah.
With Jake, he needed players because this was a bad team. They had bad salary cap issues. They had a lot of bad stuff. So in this trade, I think he ended up trading that 11th pick, moving up to get the quarterback.
Yep.
And he got a quarterback with Gunslinger 1 or whatever, like Gomes.
Yep.
And then I think that pick 30 is that receiver he got, and that receiver is really good.
Oh, he got irons with number 30?
I think so.
Because it was
wow. Yeah, okay.
Because that was like one guy I had targeted, and if I would have kept my pick, I had 29th pick. So I would have had.
I should have got him.
Yeah,
I should have got him at 12.
And so what?
I should have got him at 12, but I ended up going for that guy that had the fastest combine, fastest 40.
Yeah. So I think the trade. I think Jake ends up fine with this trade because he got weapons.
Oh yeah,
and he got Kenny Clark, who's really, I mean, he's one of the best.
Yeah, we never really talked about it. That because think about that the Packers Rams game was going to be the first time that these two face each other after trading.
Oh yeah, I actually didn't think about that.
Trading away.
I didn't think about that at all.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting little tidbit. All right, let's.
Well, we can. This was a stepping stone for the Rams too. So let's flip over to the Rams trade. At the bottom. So like, yeah, he traded away on the bottom right there, pick 11 and a superstar offensive lineman to move up to 1.2
to get the quarterback.
Yeah, and he did that at the time because I think pick 3 and pick 4 were both going to be quarterbacks. Because I think Maloney had one, and I forget who else.
And he was able to use his star upgrade, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't he have one of those?
He was able to use his. I did not have one, sadly.
I'd probably say he's slightly behind Batch, just because the only reason he's behind Tennessee is because Skittles has been behind in both of those games, or all of his games. Trying to throw his way back into it.
Yeah, and like he's still got one game, so he'll definitely be second by the time he finishes this game.
Yeah, and like when I played him, it was his first game with that quarterback.
Yeah.
and he was just all over the place. And so I think he'll be fine eventually. It was probably not ideal to start against my defense. He threw 5 picks against.
Starting your season against Germ is a guaranteed way to have a bad time.
Yep.
Not always. I do remember the year I beat. I can't even think of the freaking name. Who was the dude that is no longer here? He went to
Velasco.
No, not Velasco.
The kid?
Yeah, the dude who always played Call of Duty and streamed. He was Symptoms.
Yeah.
Symptoms.
Oh.
One year I beat Symptoms week 1 like 67-6. And it was I wasn't even trying. I think it was that
been
like,
invested in the league. I think he was always here to try and get viewers. Just like there was a guy in VFL who did that. Maze. He's another one of those the streamer guys, you know?
Yeah, I think I beat Maze in the final Super Bowl, and I went back and watched his stream. And he was just like, "Oh, I finally get to play Germ. And then I just destroyed him. He was no longer eager. That was back when I was good. Those were the days.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Well, the trade we can talk about next is the reason that Germ didn't take Irons was because he didn't have a first-round pick or a second-round pick, and that's because he decided that he'd rather have Keenan Allen over those picks.
Where's that one? You're on the next thing, aren't you?
Well, I see it all on one page. So.
Oh.
Have you only got the one up right now? On
yeah.
The screen? Like, okay.
It's fine.
We can scroll up slightly. it's just such a nice segue, right?
We can segue right into it. So yeah, I was desperate for a number. So let's just go through the whole thing here real quick. I couldn't re-sign OBJ because he didn't want to play for me anymore. So my only choice
hung up the phone on the Cowboys.
My only
stop
choice,
throwing a Waddle and throw to me, bitch.
My only choice was to tag him and pay him $28 million. Didn't want to do that. Or cut him, which I was going to, or not cut him, but just let him go to free agency, which I was going to do. And I put that thing on the trade block, and then what's his face? Brock came running, and he offered me 2 guys that would actually start for me. I mean, they're both in their 70s. They're not great, but I mean, there's 2 guys that would start on my defense. And I was like, yeah, we'll do that. So I made that trade. So I ended up franchise tagging him. So I paid $14 million to OBJ to walk. Then moved around some stuff, freed up enough money for me to sign Kenny Golladay. Nobody bid on Kenny Golladay. Nobody. Like, I think, well, Flap, you were bidding at first. Then you stopped.
Yeah, we got up to like
it was like 20
million a year.
Yeah, like $28 million a year, something like that.
I still needed a quarterback.
And so Flap dropped out. So it was just me. I was by myself right there. I'm like, all right, well, I got $30
million a year.
It was like 28, I think. And so I was like, all right, well, I got I had red zone, got my receiver. So the next night when advance comes around, we're right in the window. I jump on. Nobody else is bidding. I'm like, all right, well, I ran upstairs, ran back downstairs like 10, 15 minutes later. And I'm like, oh shit, Koopa has outbid me out of nowhere. He hadn't bid any. So then I jump on, I up my bid, and I think I offered 3 years, and that's what he wanted, 3 years. And I put like $30 million a year. Something crazy. I was above. And I just updated the bid, and like 3 or 4 minutes later, MHC advances, and Koopa got him, and he wasn't even above. Like, I was the one that was higher. Anyways, long story short, I ended up not getting him. Did not have a number 2 receiver. Then ended up asking Koopa if Keenan Allen was available, and he was. Made the trade for first and 2 seconds, and I'm pretty happy with it because I love Keenan Allen.
I would pat you on the back right now. It's a long. Finessed it.
Yeah, well,
in the
we shouldn't have got Galladay.
Things,
I could have had Galladay and had my first and seconds.
But
we could have had a reasonable bidding war on Galladay. It would have been nice.
Yeah.
But if you had to choose, like if they were just 2 people sitting on free agency and you had money for them both, and you could have either Keenan Allen or Galladay, which one would you want?
Well, I would say Keenan Allen, but
red zone threat.
I had to trade my first and 2 seconds. I would rather have Galladay and those draft picks, which is what I would have had.
Would you with 2 seasons left?
Because look, that first round pick would have been that Irons dude, because I had the 29th pick.
But would Irons ever get the ball when you've got Keenan Allen and you've got Waddle?
He's a threat. He'd be a threat. Okay, he'd be a threat.
Jerem thinks he needs 5 wide receivers.
I've never said I needed 5 wide receivers. I just want 2. I didn't have 2. I needed 2. Traded OBJ. Anyway,
I've got like 2.5 wide receivers.
Aaron's would have
and
got like 30 yards a
getting
game.
done.
probably, but hey, that 30 yards would have probably been clutch.
So close.
My current number 3 receiver is a dude off MHC's practice squad. He's 68 overall, but he's a burner.
So you have Kittle and Waddle, and you couldn't think of a way to get one more person involved?
Oh, he could. That's the trouble. You got Keenan Allen, but then he wants more. He wants irons too. He wants everything.
I would have had it.
Kittle almost
I'm
counts as
happy
two
with Keenan
people.
Allen. Okay.
It's okay. As long as you don't throw on the run with Baker to him,
Oh
then
my
they'll
God.
be fine.
But I think Baker might have one of the top 5 throw on the runs ratings. That's what drives me crazy when he misses those. I'm like, that's one of the reasons I wanted you, was for that play action, roll, and throw.
His RPO rating is awful though.
Ooh, that's true. That's true.
All right, where are you taking me now? Which screen do I need to go to for this trade?
Is there any segue we can go to here?
Well, Koopa's. Where's has Koopa made anymore?
Something.
Is there any more Koopas?
He traded all. Yeah, we go to Koopa's. Joey Bosa.
Maloney made quite a few moves too.
Joey Bosa.
Oh,
How
I guess we're
about
back
that
to this one?
It's right
Oh
next
yeah,
to
Trevor
it.
side. Okay.
It's beautiful. It's a huge trade. Feddo shook up his team after he won a Super Bowl.
Which is what every champion should do.
Yeah.
Trigga also wasn't really shopping Bosa around until Leek started talking about Pitts, and he kind of brought him into the equation. And when I pulled out of giving Donald to Feddo told me that he had reached the deal for Bosa, and I was like, wow. Feddo did some magic there.
Well, it's a great deal for both of them. Like, especially because Bosa is one of those players that you don't realize it, but because he's heavy enough, he can play the 3-4 DE.
He's a real pain in the ass in the interior.
He led the league last. I mean, he barely beat Parsons, and was barely behind Parsons, I think, the season before that. So he's top 2.
Well, and it's the funniest thing because I remember this from one of the first few seasons where Bosa did not have one TFL the entire season. This is a guy who's got no outsiders. So I was like, how do you not accidentally get one TFL in an entire season? And yet then, like you said, last season he was just like one of the top guys. So
clearly he had 14 or 15 sacks.
Yeah. I don't know if he got moved inside last season by.
I don't think he did.
I don't think so either, but I think he's going to dominate for Feddo. So Feddo went from having double stuff to inside stuff right next to no outsiders. So we'll see how that works.
That's a Sidex has that combination, and it really sucks. It's pretty much every time you look at the pre-snap, you're running away from the outside zone guy every time.
Yeah. Honestly, it's still better than 2 inside stuffs.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, to a point, because at least you know who you have to double. If you're running outside, exactly. You double the no outside.
You can now run inside. You just have to double.
Yeah. So you can at least double the guy based on the type of run you're
I mean,
doing.
It's still not ideal, but it's better than 2 inside stuffs.
If you run a counter, you're not sure which one's going to activate, but I mean, everything else is fine. So, I mean, I like to trade for both of them for that reason. Like, obviously, Cam Hayward is still going to be good even at 85 overall.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, Koopa is 3-0, and it's his defense that's leading the way. So,
Yep.
Seems to be working out just fine.
I don't think Feddo's lost yet either, because I think he beat somebody in a overtime game thanks to the player.
He lost the MHC in the opener.
Oh, did he? That's right. But at least he got the other team to just like swat the ball out of bounds rather than go 0-2.
We don't have to talk about it. Don't have to talk about it. The worst part is like that in that game, I also gave him a pick at the very beginning where I meant to throw it away, and like sometimes like does your brain just like spaz? I'm trying to throw it away, but I see this guy over there, and I'm like, he might be open. And as I go to throw it away, I just happen to hit that freaking button instead.
Dude, wait till you get to be like over 40, and you have a moment where you forget what button does what, and you just like I will literally have once a season like I will forget what is the throwaway button. Like I will just be like, how do I not remember this?
Well, I don't have that problem because I don't use a custom mapping.
Crazy stuff
on a PlayStation controller. It was hard when I had my PS5. That was really hard. The X and the square was constantly throwing me off.
Yep.
Oh, and he also another one about Koopa.
This is Sprint right here.
I don't even want to see that. Get that stupid.
This is Sprint, man.
It's wrong.
So Koopa also got Andre Cisco, who seems to be doing fantastic for Koopa. And I told you were crazy for trading him. But you are the safety school.
All I do is trade things to people to help them win. That's just what I do.
You are the safety school, though. So
for you guys who are newer, Gomez had a long and historic history of using safeties until they're god tier and then trading them for the farm.
Trading them for and then developing a 93 speed, 70 overall safety.
Well, the difference
starts over.
It's because from where I came from, like in the PC league, I was a user safety player, and then I come over here to this CFM, like into the new world of Madden on PC when it came back, and I find out that everybody just uses linebacker.
Well, that's because the linebackers were gods in Madden 19. You can guard the whole field.
So this was just like a huge boon for me because I come into a world where nobody uses safety, and so I'm the only one that does it. It confused the hell out of a lot of people. It's probably why I beat Germ. Because he's like, you're using a safety, but everyone uses linebackers. And so it's good because if you're using a position that nobody else does, then that player is probably you have a good chance.
Josh G comes to mind. Yeah, user OB.
Mm-hmm.
OB all in whatever. I can't say that.
OB Melifonwu.
Yep, Melifonwu. Well, the same one. Sinex used to always have the best corners because he would use his corners, and so he'd get a heck of a lot more picks on those in previous Madden versions because nobody else would do it.
I use your corner, well, slot corner.
Yeah, but that's to blitz, so that doesn't count.
No, it don't. I rarely
point out that Johnny had a terrible season behind quarterback, or because of Mond, and then gets rid of Mond for Lawrence, and now Intel's having a terrible passing season with Mond.
Why does Mon keep getting chances in AGS?
I guess he's like Kramer. I've got Kramer.
So McGee, I was going to talk about this a few minutes ago when we was talking about Rodgers. McGee has Avant as a backup. He's like 84 overall on a rookie contract. Why hasn't he traded him for like some stud? Like if I wasn't having a good season right now with Baker, I would have for sure traded something to McGee to get Avant.
Well, why
he works a lot and he's got a live-in girlfriend or something.
You think somebody would be like trying to trade for David Carr? I mean, look at the season he had last year.
Derek Carr, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even know his name. Don't even know his name. No respect. No respect. It's just like fly up
with. Wants 25
it didn't sound right.
No, fly up just handing out legend numbers to all of his random schmoes.
Hey, as long as 11's 11.
Roger Staubach out there.
Troy
Aikman's getting handoffs.
Yeah. Carr was signed already for 3 years at $15 million a year, and so he'd get traded for. He'll only be getting paid $7 or $8 million for the last 2 seasons. So you'd think he'd be an upgrade for someone, but
it's still not as bad as MHC spending 3 hours in voice chat trying to trade rape everyone.
Yeah. Hey, is he still trying to trade Brevin Jordan?
I honestly was so close to doing it, but I didn't want to get memed because he wanted Aaron Donald, and I was like, well, I could get a superstar tight end out of the deal that's like 10 points lower overall. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick to my guns and never trade with MHC again. So
smart.
Sucker.
Yeah, I think you made the right call. There was a reason that Brevin Jordan stayed on the Packers.
I think everyone's kind of coming around to realizing that we don't need to trade with him anymore.
We don't need him.
Well, at the time, that was also a trade for the rights to Brevin Jordan, where you'd then have to sign him to like
that's right.
some ridiculous amount of money. So you wouldn't even be getting like the deal of having him cheaper than he should be because you're trading for him. You would actually have to sign him brand new to the taxed contract. So otherwise, I think he probably would have been able to finagle a trade with somebody if it was actually Brevin Jordan that actually had a contract already.
I think that Trevor Lawrence trade might sneaky be one of the top 2 or 3 biggest trades of the offseason just because how Johnny's doing now that he finally has a quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah, he definitely could not throw it to his favorite target, apparently.
Well, I mean, apparently he didn't do well with Derek Carr either, which I mean, I don't understand. I did not mind Derek Carr. I mean, he's a great quarterback. He's nothing special, but I mean, like.
But he was unique to you because you sought after him and you got him. He was already on the Raiders. It wasn't his guy.
Yeah, that's true.
I
didn't necessarily want him. He was just sitting there on free agency. I'm like, you know what? He's going to be a lot.
You said.
He was going to be a lot better than Felipe Franks, who somehow got to a Super Bowl, even though he didn't deserve to. Good times.
All right, Tyreek.
Okay, the trade that actually made the emergency broadcast.
Yeah, emergency broadcast was made because of this trade and the other Mahomes trade.
Yep.
Working out pretty well for VBank. Not so much for Sidex.
The Mahomes one.
Yeah, on that side, yeah. Yeah, I think VBank ended up getting his team now. He's got his players. He added a couple linemen. He added more defensive pieces. This is what he wanted. He wants to be able to run the ball. He wants to be able to throw to Alberto. Who's his number one receiver now? Like his actual wide receiver. Doesn't he have somebody decent still?
It's a fantastic question.
I can't even think of who his number one
Can't be
receiver
Paul
is.
Peterson, yeah.
And so Michael Carter just developed into superstar. Paul Peterson was the free agent bid guy.
Yeah, Paul Peterson was the gift from Germ.
Yeah.
So he really basically
Damn
just traded 33-year-old superstar offensive lineman for.
Yeah. So like from Pax's perspective though, that trade is really trading nothing and getting Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's.
There's something now, but it didn't hurt him. Like,
no. I mean, and you see why the trade committee can't say no to that, because I mean,
yeah, it's fair. It's fair for VBank.
It's a fair trade,
but it doesn't hurt Pax at all.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I'm not gonna blame anybody for not realizing that they had the speed. Like when I put MVS on the block, I waited like an hour and a half before I traded him to Pax, and I even messaged people to see if they wanted him.
You gave me like 14 minutes.
But and then I had like 10 coaches in my DMs like, how would I give any more? Like, holy God, you guys could have had any
It was
number
probably
of
on
my
a
players,
Tuesday
but
night too, whenever I'm gone for 4 hours. So one night I'm gone, everything always happens. That was the night of the emergency
95
broadcast.
speed, so he I guess once we hit 94 speed or higher, everyone loses their mind.
Yeah, it's like,
well, was this like during like a free agency week where you actually had a time crunch, or was this a time when you could have let
pre-drafts?
So you could have basically sat for 24 hours. You didn't have to trade him as soon as Pax responded and say, I'll take him.
I honestly, this was like the worst offseason I've had in terms of being able to work some deals behind the scenes type of thing. Cause I feel like ever since we started, I've been able to take guys that I didn't want to sign and turn them into a draft pick or something useful. And so this season it was kind of like Otis Russell, Parsons, Lamb, and Trayvon Diggs. Those were like the only 4 players that anybody wanted, and most of them had a penalty. And that kind of like shut down most of my trade talks. So I wasn't expecting any interest at all, and bam, everybody wanted him.
Yeah.
I love how your message to me is basically the exact same thing you just said. Because you messaged me and you said, do you want MVS? And literally 25 minutes later, I responded, and it was like after you had already traded him to Pax. Because I just put 25 minutes later, ... And then you said, literally, no one asked about him, and no one wanted to make a deal, but 95 speed out there, and everyone loses their mind.
It's true.
Gorla
said it best. He said, everybody out here sucking dick for speed.
I don't know. I think if you're able to put on someone on the trade block and not actually like even look at your DMs for a whole day, everyone would be in a much better situation over the deals that they got, because then you'd probably have like 4 or 5 guys by the time that day ended up all bidding for him, as opposed to the first person who's might give you something that sounds good and might give you something that you think is a win for the trade, but you like
Pax immediately flipped him. I can't remember what he got, but I know he immediately
flipped him into like 1.18, I think, and
got an offensive lineman with the pick. Yeah.
If I had to put MVS on the block for 24 hours, then I probably would have ended up getting a second rounder out of it, like a better second rounder.
Yeah.
Well, and the other Pax trade that he did was trading Alberto to the Chiefs for OJ Howard and the first round pick. So, I mean, obviously that worked out for VBank.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah, we're done.
I mean, honestly, I don't think Albert O is anything that much more thrilling than Howard. Like Howard's decent. I think he's just as fast, or maybe he's slightly slower. He's like 87. What's
Yeah,
Albert
he's a
O?
little slower. I think Alberto is 89 or 90 speed. He's one of the faster
Oh, well,
guys.
then that makes a big difference. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. But yeah, so I mean, like, and I think Pack's got offensive linemen with that pick too. So
That's going to be the
It's
move
interesting.
next Madden. The second the rosters come out, or the second we pick teams, first thing is everybody's going to try to trade for Kenny Nwangu, fastest running back on the game. Everybody's going to try to trade for Alberto. Well, I guess he won't be as expendable now because no offense on Seattle. So Alberto will be the starter for the Broncos regardless.
Or is the Rams tight end? Well, Pitts is the fastest tight end, but
Yeah.
he's not one that you can really move easily either. So
yeah. Anyways, let's see here. Trey Lance to the Saints. Well, hang on, we're still on the Chiefs. Let's go Mahomes. Let's talk about Mahomes real quick.
yeah.
So apparently this trade just completely screwed Simon's whole roster. He didn't even expect it. This trade worked perfectly for the Chiefs. Never would imagine trading Patrick Mahomes could work out perfect, but I mean, you get a superstar, awesome corner, great offensive lineman, and you're downgrading from Mahomes to Deshaun Watson. Like, really that huge of a difference? I mean, it's a big difference, but
I like what Sinex did because the way he runs his offense, having escape artists would be huge and would definitely be a win for him. But he did not have Mahomes' money. I think prior to that deal, he had like 3 or 4 million. I put it in league media at one point. He had no money. And he trades for this guy and then basically has to had cap casualties just to get some 60 overall linemen on the field.
yeah.
Like, it's not a win for him.
Well, like it's basically what I would have had to do. Like I mean, we kind of talked about, but I had a deal for Mahomes. Like I was going to trade Newsom and Cisco and Carr and another superstar linebacker, etc. Do this massive deal for Mahomes and Tyreek, and then I realized I couldn't afford it. Like and I have cap space with the Browns. Like I had like 20 or 30 million cap space that I could have made a deal with, but then I'm looking at Mahomes and he wants 40 plus, and I'm like, you know what? I could probably figure out a way to do it by purging some stuff, but then next year I'm going to have other guys sign, so it couldn't happen. And so, I was shocked that Sinex was able to pull it off, knowing how much Mahomes wanted.
We were talking about it in DMs the other day when I think when we were watching Pink lose to Leek, and he mentioned that he was like, yeah, I think I screwed myself with that deal. And it's like, yeah, I think he did too.
Yeah, definitely hurt his whole team.
Yep.
Maloney, I can't even keep up with what all Maloney did. Like he has 3 trades right there in the middle of the screen.
Yeah.
So he traded Fred Warner and got Jesse Bates, solid center.
I like that deal.
The number 3 pick. I mean, that trade's fine. Who did he get a quarterback? He one of the ones that drafted a quarterback?
He's the one that got
Dak Prescott.
Oh, he ended up signing Dak. Yeah, that's right.
And he only did that because of
and then he drafted the awesome offensive lineman, the Mike Hill or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was because 2 people jumped in front of him who he knew were both taking quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And so he was like, damn it. So he made sure to get Dak. But I don't know. If I had Fred Warner, there's nothing that you could ever trade me that would make me trade it with him away.
I mean, Warner's awesome, but he is still only like 86 speed. I mean, if he was like 90 speed, yeah, I would never trade him ever. But
is he still that, or because I got to figure that you probably can get a speed upgrade on
he's
him.
no more than 87 speed if he's even that. But
I mean, if you're a good user linebacker too, I mean,
yeah, because if you look at his
like
other trades,
anybody.
He traded Lance to get Streeter, but then he immediately flipped Streeter and got Devin Bush. So Devin Bush is his new Fred Warner. So he has Dak. Devin Bush replaces Fred Warner. He adds Jesse Bates. I'm assuming he's still on the team. He got that the best offensive lineman in the draft. Might be the best or second best overall player in the draft. I don't know. He made a lot of moves, but I think he's fine. I think he's better. I don't know.
Yeah.
I probably would have kept Streeter though if I was him.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot. Streeter, Eric Armstead, who's pretty solid. and a second-round pick for Bush. That's a lot.
Yeah, and we never talked about it. That could be a good reason why Iraq was struggling a little bit too, because he lost his really good middle linebacker that was always the core of his defense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, Maloney was definitely one of the more active guys.
Yep. Then you got Brock traded up to the number 1 pick. Then he ended up flipping that to you, right?
He did.
Number 4, I think.
Number 4 up to number 1.
And that was with a corner.
Twas right in on the top picture. I don't know, whatever picture you're looking at, right above your trade for Keenan Allen. That was just moving up 3 spots.
They're going back and forth.
Moving up 3 spots.
Yeah, right in the middle.
Which I don't regret because
no regrets.
It worked.
Yeah, you didn't need Tyson Campbell anyway.
I'm still surprised at how much the value of cornerbacks rose even after the press bail apocalypse.
I still think cornerbacks are the most important position in the league.
I mean, I've had good 1-2 for this entire cycle on this team. So I don't really know.
To me, the big 3 are corner, interior D-line, and wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about having like the stud corners is that you don't have to resort to exploits like what press bail can be if used improperly to succeed. Like you can just let the game be the game.
And I'm long for the days when press bail is no longer used as a phrase. Not use it all. Just as long as we don't talk about it.
I mean, I've been bottom 5 and yards allowed in the passing game for like this entire cycle. I remember saying season 1, I'm like, how am I supposed to stop anything? I'm just getting cooked on every play. And so far it has been a little better, but it's also, if you're scoring some points on offense, it also helps a little bit too.
Yeah, because you change the game plan on the other side. They get a little more pass heavy, a little more aggressive.
But yeah, like, so we won't go into press bail or anything, but I will say that I don't think a lot of people still use it because, like, personally, I will never use it just because I think it's 100% an exploit if used improperly, and I don't like to even come close to that line. But I don't think a lot of people use it. Like, I haven't seen it used except for like a handful of coaches, and there might be a few people use it from time to time, but nobody like uses it.
Before I even heard the name, I only used it against guys like Synax and Pink, and even Synax, he throws so many short passes, I wouldn't need it. But like Pink is a guy that I would guess pass over top like almost every play. And then sure enough, here comes, a deep crosser or something like that. And that's what I was trying to do, but I wasn't usually pressing then. I was usually backing them up. But yeah, I mean, I hate it, but it's like at the same time, if I know that you're going to be able to use it, why wouldn't I use it sometimes?
Yeah, I think we need to stop thinking that it's a bad thing that everybody knows, because before 3 or 4 people would do it and they dominate everybody. Now everybody knows. So when you're playing somebody that's going to press and then play over top, just run slants, just run drags. Like, that stuff's going to be open. It's going to work.
We got past the mid blitz phase. I mean, everybody figured out that if you didn't.
So now, if you know,
Chase got me today with that.
Now you know what they're doing, so you know how to stop it, or you know how to get yards. Because I've actually, since we talked about it, like I threw for. I know Buffetto didn't even do it a lot, but everybody talks about Buffetto doing it, and Pax doing it. Like, that was the whole thing. I just threw for like 800 yards against those 2 dudes the last 2 games. So I mean, it's not, and they're not even doing it hardly anymore now. But I think more people knowing is going to make everything better. Instead of everybody, we were afraid it was going to make it worse. I think it's going to make it better, because now the people that struggled now know what they can do to possibly help their defense, and people know how to get yards against it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was one of the ones that was nervous about it, because I was like, oh god, if it becomes this thing, everyone's going to start doing this. All you're going to see all games, everybody press bailing all the time, and that was my concern. But like, you're absolutely right. Like, the fact that people know about it now, like, you come against these guys who used to use it a lot, and you're like, okay, I know that they're doing it. Like, because the best part about it for them at that time was that nobody knew what it was. Right?
Yeah,
they would go up there and everyone's like, oh, it's press.
Awareness is a good thing.
I'm gonna go run a streak, and you're gonna get toasted. So suck on this, and then they throw a pick, and so now as soon as you see certain coaches like pressing, like honestly, they're probably gonna have more success now if they actually press.
They are.
Yeah, and that's what we want. You want it to be where you don't know whether it's press or press bail, and now everybody's.
I think it's working for the better now that everybody knows about it.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, if I accidentally pressed against, Scary Terry, and I didn't play over top, he was 100% of the time going to streak past me for a touchdown.
Yeah.
So now it's nice to know that I can try that, even though I still would back him off.
I mean, look at in my game against Pax the other night, Waddle hit that streak on the
that was
in
on
overtime.
An actual press.
Yeah, exactly. Because I even thought about slanting him or something, and I was like, he might actually be pressing right here.
Yeah.
So I sent him deep, and sure enough, he got by.
Yeah. So no, I agree. I think that the whole press bail thing is probably not going to even. Hopefully, we don't even talk about it again after
I think
a season
hopefully
or two.
It's just a meme now.
Yeah.
in AGS lore. Real quick, how these last few here, Jamin Davis for a linebacker. Like, why would he even? I don't know why he would do that, because Jamin Davis is still on a rookie deal, cheap, and the number 10 pick is a high salary number, so it just seems like another Sinex trade. I don't know.
He was flexing his math skills after all that finessing, so I'm assuming it had something to do with that.
Yeah, there's no way Jamin Davis's salary is way lower than the number 10 pick.
But
okay,
Sinex logic.
Yeah, Sinex didn't have a great offseason. Let's just say that. Even the man that got Patrick Mahomes didn't have a great offseason. It's hard to imagine.
I mean, if he had another 20 million to spend, whole nother story.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we got to talk about the Smithy Mustang.
Yeah, we have to, because that one was a big conversation. Like,
I think that's the last one that we have.
Yeah,
that we haven't talked about. So,
so Mustang messaged me about this, like no. Smithy messaged me, and he said, "So is Tua really terrible?" so that's how I knew something was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I gave him the whole thing. Like, you just have to adjust like your rollouts and stuff like that. And throwing to the right is just so much different. It's so much different. And so I told him that, and then I ended up talking to Mustang about it later. And so the trade was different whenever he had told me about it. It had Hayden in it instead of Surtain. And I told him and when he ended up putting Surtain in it, I was like, I would never trade Surtain. Like, and you guys know by now, me talking about the freaking corners all night. I would never include him in this trade. I would have never done this trade if I was Mustang, just because I would not be trading Surtain for anybody. But and Josh Allen, he's going to throw inaccurate because the throwing power. It's too much.
It's too much.
If he was an X factor and had more abilities, yeah, I would definitely love to have him. But that throwing power is just everything's inaccurate. Oh, there goes the cat.
I would have loved to have Josh Allen.
I would love to have him too.
Super stud.
I had him in the PS5 league of Tom's for the first 5 weeks of the league that I was in, and then I just quit. But he had X Factor and he had Gunslinger and everything. I was killing people. He was unstoppable. Everything, like, I was passing like 85% every game. It was unbelievable. If he was like that Josh Allen in here, yeah, I'd love to have him. But he's not that Josh Allen. What is the cat doing?
He's looking at me.
Yeah. But anyways, I would not have done the trade if I was Mustang. I think Smithy wins the trade, but that's just my opinion. What do y'all think?
It depends. If Mustang was really trying to get one of my defensive backs, if he could have convinced me to flip that for more than 1.6 and a woozy, I think he would have won that deal. But I do think, again, you made a deal with Smithy for a high profile player in less than 48 hours or so. That's impressive.
That is impressive. And yeah, so you're gonna have to overpay to get anybody from Smithy. It's just how it's gonna be.
And so Smithy could have also, done this deal and then turned around and added Pitts. Wow. That would have been, for both guys, I think that would have been incredible.
Yeah. I mean, if this was a trade at the beginning of the CFM, then yeah, I don't think Smithy does it, because then 1.6 is nowhere near as much more exciting than it is with 2 seasons left. But I mean, to me, I know if I tried to use Tua, I would be 4-13 or whatever, because throwing lefty after, because you guys have played Madden for what, a decade?
Mm-hmm.
I played longer than that, so
No, I've played since 24 years.
I've only had like one lefty, and it was
yeah, but you don't count when you're
Tebow.
10 years old, Jerm.
Well, I mean, those were years. I mean,
Were they?
Pink's
Were
in here.
they?
Pink's in here, and he's 10 years old.
Had Sega Genesis, Madden.
That's what I was doing when I was a kid. Okay, y'all were watching Nickelodeon. I'm playing Madden and stomping old dudes.
Good times. But yeah, no, I would just never be able to throw with a lefty quarterback.
Well, your favorite player wasn't Steve Young growing up, okay?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can.
I recreated Steve Young.
You
for
don't
like
have
20
to
years.
anymore. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll take the Dolphins with my top 5 pick next year.
And immediately trade Tua.
I will immediately trade Tua if I take the Dolphins. I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah, if Gollum, can we go ahead and just predict that right now? If Gollum has a top 5 pick, he will have the Dolphins.
Who's the fastest wide receiver? Stock?
They have both Tyreek
Yeah,
and Waddle.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's 100% Gomes team there.
Well, we'll see. Because to
He'll
me,
recreate that probably.
it may shock you, but to me, defense is always more important than offense.
Oh, shut up!
Oh,
Shut
sorry,
up.
I was.
Defense is more
Jones.
important than offense if they have a 98 speed receiver.
Yes,
I was watching your game against.
that does help.
Thank you.
but I could have had a better offense. Like if I really wanted offense only, I would have taken the Chiefs again.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, if I wanted
If Schwartz didn't have 98 speed, you would not have taken the Browns.
If he'd had 96 or higher, I still would take it. That's the threshold.
And he was like 68 overall.
But my point
good,
is the defense on the Browns is far better than the crappy defense on the Chiefs. And if I just wanted speed at receiver, I would have taken the Chiefs again, had Mahomes and Tyreek and Hardman. Forget about defense. Defense is most important, but you have to have speed on offense too.
I think I know why you need speed. I was watching your game against Gorla, and I realized that when you're playing on this massive screen and you take anybody that's less than 90 speed and you're playing on the blimp cam, they look like they're moving in slow motion.
Chugging along.
But if they're really fast, they kind of look normal. And I'm not talking to you, folks.
Shut up, bitch.
You are 100% right, man. On blimp cam, you need speed. Otherwise, it all is this blur because everything moves slower.
Yeah, I ran AJ Dillon out of the blimp cam, and I couldn't handle it. It was too slow.
The blimp cam, I wouldn't mind the blimp cam if it was just for passing and like once somebody caught the ball, it adjusted. But watching you try to run and like when you catch and run, the camera angle it like gets weird.
Fetto will change it back and forth, but that looks exhausting.
Yeah,
that's too much.
The worst part about blimp cam is when you're on your own 0 to 10 yard line.
Oh god,
you can't see. Like I have to zoom it down when I'm kicking because otherwise you don't even see the meter. It's below the screen when you're on blimp cam. And I used to just do it from muscle memory. Like I would be like, I'm just kicking it because I'd probably be losing it. I wouldn't care anyway. I just kick and I just be like, okay, that's the timing, and it would end up working out. But we could have a whole OG on camera angles.
All right, I think we're nearing the end here. After 2 hours,
I've got 5 minutes left before I get in trouble. So
2 hours and 8 minutes.
We better.
All right, well, let's end it on this because we always talk prediction before we. So we're only through 3 weeks, and it's been an interesting 3 weeks. Lots of upsets. If you had to put money, if you had to put your real Germ Vegas bucks on one team to win the AFC right now, who is it? Anybody? Flat
could be first season NFC boy.
I want to go with Germ.
Woo, Germ!
We were well past due for a deep playoff run.
I thought last year was the year, and then I was humbled by a Fetto. After I crushed PAX, I was like, all right, this is the year. This is the year. And I was immediately humbled.
I don't know if Fetto's got it in him to be that sweaty for this long. He was so sweaty for that last 2 seasons in both leagues. He won 2 Super Bowls on the same day. I can't think of any sweatier way of doing this.
It was doing it in one day. I told him this too. It was either going to be all or nothing. You're either going to win both, or you're going to lose both.
And he won both pretty handedly too, I think.
Yeah,
I can't remember what the aisle score was, but I think he won that pretty well.
Well, it was 34-0 over here.
Yeah.
Against Poor City.
Well, I am still going to go with who I picked for the Super Bowl last time, which is Pax. Even though Durham beat him,
because he's playing Pax this week. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing, Gal.
No. No, my belief is that, like, last season Pax went undefeated and then got a little bit humbled in the playoffs because of all that success. And this season he started out slow. And no matter what, like, I think we can all agree that Pax's team is better than it was last year. Because, like, we just talked about that trade. He got Tyreek basically for nothing because he got gifted that free agent and he got the cornerback to Dev. So he was basically able to get Tyreek cheaper than, like, it was a fair trade, like we said, but he didn't have to really end up giving up anything that was pre-existing. It wasn't pre-existing that was there to get an elite player.
Right.
So
he didn't lose Kenny Clark to get Jalen Ramsey.
No,
he lost the player.
Yeah. So based on the fact, like, and obviously his team is better because, like, he's got Tyreek, he's got DK, he's got Mims, and those are like three of probably the top 10 receivers in the league. And he still managed to re-sign Zach Wilson for $50 million a year or whatever silly thing that costs. So he will figure out how to use those guys. Like, and once he does, he's going to be pretty almost unstoppable.
Yeah, playoff game against that.
Yeah, so he's going to be unstoppable when he figures it out. Like, people, when you get to the playoffs, if you've got the snow game against Pax, you click on that snow game. You slow everybody down if you can. But I just don't. I think that because of the slow start, I think is going to benefit him, and he's just going to get better and better as the season goes on, and probably make it with that team.
Definitely.
Yeah, See, the thing with Pack, his offense is basically unstoppable. You got to hope to get a couple punts, and you have to hope that it's not 4th and 2 or less, because he's gonna go for it. If it's on his own 20, his own 30, he's gonna use he's gonna use it up early if he has to. I think he did it against me, and I think he may have not got it. I can't remember. But against me, like, I beat him, but Wilson was 25 of 30 for 340 yards. So the thing is, so Pax will smash people when they make mistakes when they have the ball.
Yeah,
I only threw one interception, so that's why I was able to stay in the game. I didn't make a huge mistake.
Yeah, and you managed to come back because he, like, crushed you early, and then
I shouldn't have even came back. I was so pissed. Well, did you watch my stream?
I did watch your stream after the fact.
Did you go back and watch it? It was just nobody should watch that. It's just stress. Like, it's just me yelling, cussing.
That first half was a lot of pain.
A lot of pain.
Yeah. So, but
anyways, I'm going to do something different here on my NFC or AFC prediction. So I am at 12 seasons now where I haven't made it to the Super Bowl. 12 seasons I have thought I wasn't going to make it to the Super Bowl, and I didn't. I'm going to predict myself to make it to the Super Bowl.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm going to go different, okay? I'm going to have confidence going into my games.
You know what? Picking other people have not gotten you any Super Bowls.
Exactly.
So why not, right?
Exactly. Those people have done nothing for me. Fuck them. We're picking me. All right, NFC, who we got?
I'm gonna follow suit. I'm gonna pick myself.
Yes.
We
started a good trend. Galm's the only little bitch here.
I had a good offseason. I improved a lot of areas that I needed to improve, and I think I can make a run.
Flap, I do think you can make a run.
Yeah, I absolutely believe it too. It would not surprise me at all if you made the Super Bowl this year.
And losing Cooper actually kind of helped me in the long haul of things because I had to learn how to throw tighter routes, tighter windows, because I had no idea how easy I had it to get all those free third downs conversions, just throwing to Amari Cooper.
Yep. And I think so. MHC loses Rodgers. Obviously, his team is stacked, but losing Rodgers is a big deal. Brock's roster is not nearly as good as what it was.
Yeah, Brock's vulnerable now.
So Brock's roster is not great. I mean, he's still a great player, but roster makes him beatable. Soup is still good, but I mean, those are the big guns, and I think and Synax, who we all said he's much more vulnerable. So the top guys in the NFC I feel like they dropped a little bit this offseason. So I do think you can easily make a run.
I rolled no outsiders on Russell. It was good thing that I saved him. I almost
yeah, that's pretty
considered
killer.
trading him to the Saints.
So does that mean you're picking flat for the Super Bowl in the NFC?
No, I was just building him up. I don't want to. Can't tear him down before you build him up.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to go chalk here, and I'm going to say Soup gets back and doesn't get shut out. That's my prediction for now.
You gotta ruin my year, Soup. You gonna do it?
Why would you do that?
I'm sorry.
To lovable flat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll predict you later on. Usually when I pick, well, actually, I picked Soup to make the Super Bowl last year, and he did. So,
but we gotta remember too, if Fedo can have that lasting effect on you for a while, like I said, I straight up was like, I should stop playing Madden forever and go do anything else.
My last 2 losses in this league are getting murdered by a Fedo and losing in overtime to a Fedo. Yep. I don't know which one was worse.
Well,
they're both pretty heartbreaking.
I am going to go even in a completely different direction. I almost thought it was going to go Flap, but then Flap went himself.
I almost talked myself into it.
Flap went himself, so I figure I shouldn't just ride a train there. I'm actually going to go with Jake and the Rams. I know, because Jake got that quarterback, and I'll tell you that he's going to get used to that quarterback, and he was able to upgrade his to star, so he's only going to get better. Like, I can't do anything with my guy because he's normal, so he's trapped where he is, which is just fine with me because he's fine already. But Jake's going to be able to get his guy even better, and he's very similar to my guy. So Jake is already, like, I play Jake, and he's one of the hardest guys I've had to play. While like we said, the NFC, the top guys actually dropped down a little bit, and I think Jake has gone up a little bit, even though he got rid of Ramsey, but he still got inside stuff. He got some pieces. I think Jake is going to get better this whole season, and I think he's going to get in there. And of course, I was hesitant to take him because everyone I pick for the Super Bowl gets cursed and doesn't even make the playoffs. So hopefully I break that little streak on this one.
Hey, Jake's good. When I played him last season, he reminded me of playing Gorla a lot. Like, he similar skill level, similar style. So
yep.
We all know what Gorla can do.
Yep.
Losing the Super Bowl in the wild card.
On that note.
Let's see if Gorilla stays long enough to hear that part.
He did.
Not gonna hear that one.
All right. So if anybody is interested in joining the OG for an episode or 2 or 5, you have to be older than 34. So just let me know. I have to keep my streak alive as being the youngest one.
You have to at least claim you're over 34.
Young whippersnapper.
Yeah. So two pinks combined wouldn't even make it.
Yeah. You either have to be over 34 or you have to, like, dye your hair a little bit gray so you look older than Jerem.
That's what a Fedo did. He's actually 26 and he just gray.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, it was great.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Flap. That was great.
Well, we will see you guys next time.
Yep. Later.